Hi. I've said it many times, and I'm gonna say it again. Severance is so good. To fully understand what's happening in Severance, you have to pay very close attention. This is not a show you watch while being on your phone. I mean, I guess you can do whatever you want, but you may not like it as much. So much of this story is revealed silently through the acting and through the background, beautiful artistic cinematic storytelling. The show is just so good. I watched season 1 of Severance when it was brand new. My last Severance video, I had years to prep for it, and I watched the show 8 times over the course of the years that I waited for season 2. Now, I've only had a few months to prepare for this video, but I have watched Severance season 2 4 times at this point, so I think I have a pretty good idea about what's going on. Quick spoiler warning for you. I'm gonna spoil this so hard. It's gonna be rotten milk spoiled by the time I'm done with this video. And I'm going to give you spoilers pretty much immediately. So if you have any desire to watch for yourself this amazing mystery thriller sci-fi type of show without spoilers, watch it first and then come back and watch this video. The cozy, creepy vibes of season 1 are gone. Now we are expanded into a larger world with Lumen at the center of it. The innies we became so familiar with last season are at the very bottom of a massive hierarchy. Now this hierarchy, this organization, is in fact a literal cult with a lot of money, power, and influence. With all of that, let's get into the story. Season 2, episode 1 is titled Hello, Miss Cobel, and it starts with Mark S. waking up in the elevator. The last thing that has happened to him is he realized his Audi's wife is Miss Casey or Gemma. She's alive! So he starts running around in a panic, and the way that he runs through the halls makes no sense. Okay, so I actually went through and mocked up the pathway that Mark takes through this hallway to the very best of my frail human ability. I took many screenshots. I probably spent like 2 hours doing this, so I hope someone appreciates it. So this is the elevator. This is where we start, right here. This is MDR, obviously. This is the wellness area, and this is a door on the side of the hallway next to wellness. Right here is an empty office area. All these little dotted lines are hallways that we see exist or potentially exist based on screenshots. This hallway is there, but then it isn't there upon a second screenshot. So that hallway disappeared. Same with this hallway. So we have 2 changing / potentially disappearing hallways. This is the path that Mark takes as he's running. It's a little, it's a little weird. It's a little wonky in some places, not gonna lie. When he arrives at the wellness area, it's been completely shut down and almost cemented off in a really weird way. I find it strange that they got rid of the whole wellness section altogether. It doesn't really make sense to me. I don't really like this choice that they made, but there is something significant that happens here. When Mark is looking at the wellness doors that have been sealed off, we get to see behind him, there's somebody blurry in the background watching him, who then slips away and disappears into the maze of hallways. This person, I believe, is Mr. Drummond, a new character who's been introduced this season, who is a big higher up at the Lumen Corporation. He's also sort of a spy kind of person. We often see him lurking in the background and spying on people, as well as mediating for Helena and her father. The main thing here is he's a very important person at Lumen, and at this point he's sort of the only kind of security that they have now that Mr. Grainer is gone and they haven't bothered to replace him. Drummond is like a boss level version of Mr. Grainer. Mark finds his way to the MDR office where he sees there are 3 new coworkers there. His friends Dylan, Helly, and Irving have completely vanished. Then Mr. Milchick shows up, greets Mark with balloons that have his face on them, and escorts Mark to his office, the big boss man office. Mr. Milchick has now been appointed as head of the severed floor, and that is going to explain pretty much the entirety of this season. Something that we learn in watching this season is that Mr. Milchick is a very flamboyant theater kid. And while he is creepy and seems as if he's someone who can't be trusted, I actually think that Mr. Milchick is very genuine in his attempt to connect with the innies, and he really wants to be a good boss. He wants to do it in his own way, different from the way that Harmony Cobel did. Season 2 of Severance is the severed floor under management of Seth Milchick. This is the reason why Mark got some quirky new coworkers and a bundle of balloons with his face on them. It's also the reason why Mr. Milchick seems to have a glaring hatred for the name of Miss Cobel on his screen. He thinks that Harmony Cobel was cruel and sadistic and wrong in the way that she ran the severed floor. He wants to be nothing like her, and that is very prevalent in his behavior this season. Mr. Milchick welcomes Mark back to work, explaining that he's the new boss, and shows him a heavily redacted newspaper. He tells Mark that because of this innie uprising, there have been massive reforms done at Lumen, and Mark and the other innies have become famous. He also tells Mark that it's been 5 months and that his friends are gone because they refused to come back to work. Of course, Mr. Milchick is lying about most of this, all of this. Needless to say, Mark is very confused, and so are we at this moment. Mr. Milchick is trying really, really hard to sell this story to get Mark rededicated to Lumen.
The four of you have achieved international fame.
He thinks that this fancy lie about him being famous and reforming so that Lumen is better now is going to make him want to stay and keep working.
As a group, you've become known as the face of Severance reform.
What he doesn't fully realize is that the only thing that will make Mark want to keep working at Lumen is if he gets to see his friends.
You still haven't told me where my team is.
We tried for weeks to get them back, Mark. None of them agreed.
I'd like to hear it from them.
When Mark goes to talk to the new coworkers, we learn that they're all from different offices around the world.
Where I can find some ink pencils.
Supply closet?
Non ho la più pallida idea di dove sia.
I'll show you.
I think the main reason the writers included these 3 new characters is to show just how massive Lumen is as a company, to globalize Lumen in a way. Mark and his friends are really nothing in the grand scheme of things, compared to last season where our entire world that we knew of was the severed floor and people who lived in the town outside of Lumen. That's really as far as we got. But now we're spreading to a much broader network of people and places. Mark is introduced to the new deputy or assistant manager replacing Mr. Milchick's old job, Miss Wong. Now, Miss Wong is a child. She's probably 14 or 15, but her age is never revealed to us.
Why are you a child?
Because of when I was born.
Miss Wong is actually a pretty significant part of unveiling the mysteries in this story. Throughout the first few episodes, it's pretty consistently mentioned that Miss Wong is a child, and that's kind of weird. Everyone's wondering, why is there a child here? And you know what I can tell you? The answer to that? It's not that deep. It's child labor. Lumen does child labor, and we will get more about that later. At the end of Mark's first day back at work, hops in the elevator and then comes right back out. We are seeing exactly what it's like to be Mark S. in this moment, what he is experiencing from day to day. One workday ends and the next one immediately begins. It's a really clever decision by the writers to not show us the outside world at all this episode. We're left to puzzle about what happens in this episode without knowing the full picture until episode 2. Mark's second day at work, it's pretty evident that he has not accepted Milchick's lie about his friends, and he's really upset that they're gone. He is in full helly rebel mode, alright? Mark is plotting trouble. Mark spends his time drafting up a note to try and frame Mark W., his coworker. He very, very subtly slips the note into the pocket of Mark W's work jacket, his, what's that called? Suit coat? Suit coat. That thing. You know what I mean? That thing. And I have some words to say about this. In my last video, I did go on multiple rants about the code detectors in Lumen. That was the one thing about last season that really took me out of the show.
Hey, the code detectors can read messages hidden inside the body as well.
I just don't think that it would be possible in any form to do something like this. And the amount of people who commented about that rant. The code detectors aren't even real. They're just using the security cameras. I can't believe you would think that the code detectors are real. I thought we could all just assume that they were fake the whole time. Guys, don't gaslight me about this, okay? The code detectors are intended to be a real technology at Lumen. I refuse to accept any other answer. It was not intended to be like some sneaky lie that the writers put into the show. No, it was intended to be real, okay? It's not that deep. I think that this proves that. Clearly, the code detectors work because Mark W. does in fact get in trouble for having this little note in his pocket. And to everyone who is like, oh, but there's a literal brain chip that separates your memories and you can believe that? Yeah, I don't know enough about the brain to say that this would be impossible. Improbable, yes, but this is science fiction, of course, and I'm willing to accept that the Severance chip could be possible in a science fiction world. I am not willing to accept that the code detectors are possible in a science fiction world. And for everyone who said, oh, the code detectors could totally be possible with AI, it's probably AI code detectors. No. Anyway, Mark comes into work. He walks into the MDR office and is greeted by Mr. Milchick and his other 3 coworkers glaring at him because he framed or tried to frame Mark W. and nobody bought it. Everyone was like, what? And Mark, really quick thinking here, pretends to be evil and acts like he did something evil.
What's funny?
You don't know what I did to the kitchenette yet, do you?
And while everyone's distracted, he runs away and finds himself in Mr. Milchick's office, where he grabs the board speaker communicator from the freaking cabinet, plugs that bad boy in, and starts talking to the board like, holy shit. I don't know if he planned that in advance. I think Mark is just really quick on his feet and he's a smart guy. He thinks fast and he made the right move. His exasperated message to the board totally works. Mr. Milchick escorts Mark to the elevator quite angrily, where it's implied that Mark has been fired. However, Mark S. then wakes up on the elevator again. Mark wakes up for the 3rd day of work to see a new painting on the back wall. This painting was really interesting to me. At first, I thought that it might be like a foreshadowing, like the painting in the last season. It wasn't, though. It didn't really foreshadow to anything that I could tell. I think it was more meant to be a message for the innies. The painting is titled Kier Pardons His Betrayers, and it has people buried in the ground with Kier above them, putting his hand on one of their heads, like as if he's giving a blessing of sorts. The people buried in the ground do very subtly resemble Irving, Dylan, Helly, and Mark. I think that this photo was created to influence the innies, to help them think that Lumen truly has changed, that they have been forgiven, that it's a new leaf we're turning over, you know? Another thing I noticed this season that's pretty obvious in the writing is that Mark is an extremely important person to the Egan family and to Lumen in general. Not only was he the only one of his coworkers that was not fired after the overtime contingency was triggered, but he's also not fired again after doing all this crazy stuff and talking to the board.
I need to see my team again. They deserve a chance.
It's kind of like how Helly last season was never let go or fired, no matter what she did, to the extremes that she went to. And that's clearly because her outie was freaking Helena Egan, right? Kind of a similar thing here is happening with Mark, where he is extremely important to Lumen. That's why he was able to get away with demanding his coworkers come back, illegally talking to the board through the speaker, and not getting fired for it. I don't know exactly why Mark is so important to them. I only have speculation on what that is and what that means, and I'll get into it a little bit later when we have more context, but it's just something that we start seeing immediately, so I wanted to point it out.
They're my friends. You can't just make them disappear.
The board did listen to Mark's request, and his friends are back. The gang is back together. The crew is here. Dylan is very upset about his belt.
So the man who just tackled me and cut up my best belt is our boss now?
Really? He tackled you?
Fair, I tackled the man first, but I didn't fuck with his belt.
Irving is very upset that Bert is married.
Irving, what happened?
Dude, what's wrong? You poor up there?
And Helly is back as well, happy to see Mark.
Oh my God, are you okay?
I'm okay.
Now, I'm going to spoil a very major plot point right now because I think it is going to be more fun to analyze this looking at it from the angle of what's actually happening here. This is not Helly. From the moment we first see her in this season, this is Helena Egan pretending to be Helly. But I want to point out, as we're going through these episodes, all the evidence that shows us this is Helena Egan. Dylan comes in immediately going, what happened? How did it go? Did it work?
Dylan!
Mark, did it work?
It worked.
Dylan is still in that heist mode from the last episode. Irving arriving in the elevator, he was banging on the door yelling Bert, doing exactly the same thing he did right before the OTC turned off. But Helena, when she comes off the elevator, she just kind of stumbles off and is breathing heavily.
Helly!
So that is the first thing that is strange about her right off the bat. Then when they go to their workspace, Helena points out very quickly that the cameras are gone.
What if they're listening, Dylan?
Wait, what happened to the security camera?
To me, this reads like she is trying to point out the lack of security measures to help the other innies feel more secure. Miss Swang then takes the four to the break room, which used to be the place where they would get tortured and stuff, but now it's been completely redesigned to be a nice actual break room. Like, it's actually just a nice space for them to hang out. Huh, who'd have thought? Who'd have thought they would have had to, do a heist to get a break room? Wild. It's the little things that count, right? Mr. Milchick greets them in the break room and is trying to show them how he is now a reformed man. That Lumen has changed. He's now making an effort to be the bestest boss there ever was, okay? He apologizes for treating them the way that he did before. He tells them things are going to be different now. They are also told that they are not being observed with any microphones or any cameras. I think this is true, mostly because they haven't even bothered to staff a new security guy and they completely remodeled the security office. But the big thing here is that if the innies want to leave, they have the option to leave. The door to the stairs is unlocked, open. You can go out, quit, leave anytime you want. But if they want to keep working at Lumen, they can start working on their file by the end of the day. It's really, really vital that Mr. Milchick made this change by allowing the door to be open. It will always be unlocked from the inside. It'll just be locked from the outside, so outsiders can't get in, but severed people can leave whenever they want. Ultimately, the main takeaway from this is that Milchick wants to be a good manager. He really does want to be better than Miss Cobel. Even though he has lied to Mark about a lot of things, I do feel that Mr. Milchick is very genuine in wanting to make things better for the innies. Mr. Milchick leaves them alone, gives them some time to sit and talk in the break room, to think about what they want to do, if they want to stay at Lumen or quit. After Milchick is gone, Helena, Dylan, Irving, and Mark start talking about the OTC experience and what happened to all of them. Mark jumps in first, immediately telling everybody, "My wife is Miss Casey."
The woman in the photo was Miss Casey.
And Helly's reaction to this is also very suspicious. She has a very wide, slow blinking stare that seems forced and fake, which just gives more credit to Britt Lower, the actress for Helly/Helena. Even here, as Helena, you can tell her reaction seems fake. Being able to act so proficiently, so well, that you can tell when someone is acting as a character, oh, that is like next level shit. She is incredible. The Best Actress Emmy she won for this show, well deserved. When Helena is asked to share her experience about what happened during the OTC, again, she's very suspicious. She doesn't answer with the truth, which could be viewed in two ways, coming into it for the first time, not knowing what's going on, right? It could be looked at like she's just embarrassed or ashamed of being an Egan and doesn't want to talk about it. She's not ready to process it. Or more likely, and actually, it's not her. It's Helena. Helena makes up some lie about waking up in an empty apartment alone and going outside to talk to a gardener. This is something that Irving catches right away. Irving, smart man. Irving immediately thinks this is weird because it was nighttime. So why would somebody be out gardening at night?
A night gardener.
I think so. Maybe he has a different job during the day.
And this night gardener will haunt Helena for the rest of her days. Probably. If she hadn't messed this up right away and Irving hadn't caught it right away, this whole entire story might have gone a lot differently than it did. Now, we already know from last season that Helena does not view the innies as actual people.
I am a person. You are not.
One thing here that stood out to me that kind of shows how little she thinks of the innies is how dumb she plays Helly at first. Her explanation of her experience of the outside world is so simplified and dumbed down, almost as if she didn't understand what was going on in the world around her.
I was watching some nature show on TV, sweatpants and a t-shirt. It was like a Save the Gorilla shirt.
She thinks that they are stupid and essentially just useless drones.
Sorry, guys, I really tried.
Overall, though, Helly is suspicious, dude. When they ask Irving what happened to him during the OTC, he does not want to talk about it. Irving actually just wants to go die. Yeah, he wants to just quit and never come back. Dylan then runs after Irving to try and stop him from, ending it all in a very dramatic way. And there's a very, very tender moment here between Irving and Dylan that I really loved.
I'm going to leave, Dylan.
It is not leaving, so stop calling it that.
I know you
Just
want...
fucking try.
Irving then finally talks about how his Audi had been painting a picture of the black hallway.
There was an elevator at the end with a downward arrow.
So at this point, Irving and Dylan are the only ones who have discussed this ominous dark black hallway. It hasn't been revealed to Mark or Helena yet.
He painted dozens of them. Fuck, why? I don't know. I wanted you to know before I left.
Okay, well, you're not.
One of the biggest things Dylan says to get Irving to stay is he tells him that Bert would have wanted him to stay and figure out what the fuck is going on with that long, dark hallway. So that's the goal. That's the new mission. While separated from the other two, Helena and Mark go on a walk and start talking about things. And Helena slips here again. She has a moment where her very clear prejudice and dislike toward the innies is revealed.
Technically, strictly speaking, she's not your wife. Pretty sure you're out. You bought the ring.
Except, we're the same-ish person.
We're not the same, actually.
She says that with such passion. It's like, whoa, calm down. But she catches herself and saves it by saying she is going to do anything she can to help Mark S. find Gemma.
But Miss Casey she's one of us. I'll help.
Miss Wong collects Dylan to take him to Mr. Milchick's office. This is when we see Hello, Miss Cobel running across Milchick's computer screen, which is a hint that it has definitely not been 5 months since everything else happened. This office shift must have been done pretty recently. And that little Hello, Miss Cobel running on the computer is the only thing we see of Miss Cobel in this episode. Milchick drops a huge surprise party bomb on Dylan, telling him his wife's name is Gretchen because she wanted him to know that.
She wanted you to know.
And then reveals to him a blueprint plan to remodel the security office into a family visitation suite. Dylan asks if he will get to see his family there, and Milchick responds like this.
If you take the name of the room at face value, I'd say yes.
Very suspicious sounding response. I was very suspicious of this. I think everybody was suspicious of this because we're all like, about Mr. Milchick. But in hindsight, he really did make this visitation suite for Dylan, not really any strings attached other than him performing well at work and then the threat of it being taken away. But Milchick wasn't actually lying or being deceitful here. He was just using too many big words. Just being Mr. Milchick, He's just kind of like that sometimes. We get a brief look at Miss Wong outside the office, and as soon as Mr. Milchick is out of sight, she pulls out a little water ring toss game from her desk. This is a way of showing us as the audience that this little ring toss game is something that is very important and precious to Miss Wong. I bring that up because it's gonna be important later. At the end of the day, Helena and Mark go back into the office to start working because they're gonna stay. They're gonna not go quit. And as Helena is looking for the switch to turn on her computer, she sort of fumbles around a little bit, which is another sign this is not Helly. All 4 refiners decide to stay at Lumen and continue doing their work. At the very, very end of this episode, we just get the teeniest, tiniest hint. As we zoom in on Mark's computer while he's doing work, we get flashes of Gemma. This is the very first actual hint we get to what is going on with macro data refinement, what their job actually is. Something about what they're doing has to do with Gemma. We'll get into it. This episode is titled Goodbye, Mrs. Selvig. This is a little nod to the first episode being called Hello, Miss Cobel. Hello, Miss Cobel and Goodbye, Mrs. Selvig, these episodes happen somewhat simultaneously, kind of like they did with the first and second episodes of season 1. Episode 2 actually begins chronologically before episode 1 does, right after the end of season 1. The night of the gala, when Helly had her moment of triumph, her speech to the people there, Lumen jumped into their damage control mode like so quick. After finding out about the overtime contingency activation, Helena, still in her fancy gala dress, instructs Mr. Milchick to go and find out what happened, who else woke up, what is going on with this OTC thing.
Find out every word they said and who they said it to.
And shall I fire them?
Let care guide your hand.
So I guess, the Holy Ghost is gonna tell Milchick what to do and who to fire and who not.
Let care guide your hand.
Strange, but again, a nod to how culty this company is. It's not a company, it is actually a cult, first and foremost. Company second. We then follow Helena walking through the Lumen building through this big, luxurious hallway at night with the lights on from outside of the windows. Super cool shot. Helena is in this conference room to talk to Harmony Cobel. She has just been fired and Milchick has been given her job, but she did do something pretty huge tonight. Even after she had been fired, she went back to the company, told them about what was going on with the OTC, and helped stop it ultimately. And this puts Lumen in a really weird place because, yeah, she just saved their butts like so hard. So Helena offers Harmony Cobel a kind of shut up and sit down job.
We'd like to offer you a promotion. Severance Advisory Council.
Yeah, okay, we realize you were sort of right about everything that was going on. So here's like a consolation job for you, okay? Shut up and sit down.
Severance Advisory Council. I never heard of such a thing.
And Cobel decides she's gonna think about it, sleep on it.
I'll put some thought to it.
Milchick goes out on the town on his motorcycle that night and he finds Dylan and Irving and fires them both. Irving gives Mr. Milchick no information, basically saying that nothing of note happened that night. As we know, Irving's Audi is secretly trying to take down Lumen from the outside and the inside at the same time. Kind of like a badass would do. And for Dylan, this firing comes completely out of the blue. He was severed when the incident happened, so it was just hey, you can't work here anymore, which sucks. When Milchick is driving away, you zoom out and see the roundabout near Dylan's house, and it's the Lumen droplet symbol. Either Lumen-funded housing or just a fun coincidence. I don't know. Mr. Milchick then goes to Mark's house to talk to him, and he does not fire Mark, but instead apologizes and basically begs Mark to stay at the company. Devin really shines here. Devin has already caught on to what Mark's innie was trying to say. She realizes he was talking about Gemma when he said she's alive.
So what?
So you said she's alive.
So there's this debate going on between Devin, Rickon, and Mark.
I really did feel it was clear you were referencing the baby.
Obviously, I was referencing the baby, okay?
Yes. No, yeah, I agree. I think Rickon is right.
Devin, she's smart, okay? Definitely one of the smartest people in this show.
You find this picture, which obviously is of interest to you, and assuming that she's alive really was about the baby.
And you don't think it was?
I love her character. I loved her last season, and I love her infinitely more this season. She, do I say it? Do I say it? I think Devin's my favorite character. Yeah.
What the fuck are you even saying?
Why are you being a dick to me? I'm trying to help you.
When Mr. Milchick comes over, Devin is really bold with him too. I love how she overtakes the conversation and is like, what the fuck, dude?
Any mark was here in this house.
I know, I talked to him.
Devin is a force to be reckoned with.
I can only imagine how violated you feel.
Yeah, speaking of violations, just wondering how common it is for your managers to commit fucking lactation fraud.
Yeah, it wasn't just Mark who was violated by Lumen, it was also Devin. Miss Cobel was infiltrating herself into this family, became her lactation consultant, and befriended her. So obviously Devin feels extremely betrayed and confused and probably really hurt as well.
Just wondering how common it is for your managers to commit fucking lactation fraud. Pretty common?
While Mr. Milchick is trying to beg Mark to stay at the company, Mark is still on the fence about quitting. Because if you remember, this night, maybe an hour or two ago, he was just telling Mrs. Selvig that he was thinking about quitting Lumen. So now this happens, Milchick shows up being like, please don't quit, and he's already been thinking about quitting, and he's leaning toward quitting. But Milchick does offer him space for the weekend to think about it. Back at Lumen, Helena is still doing cleanup work after the OTC disaster, and we see her doing a PR video, which is so good.
Earlier this evening, I made the poor decision to consume alcohol while on a non-lumen medication, which caused me to say some deeply regrettable things.
The thing I love about Helena, not that this is a good thing, okay? I love it about her character. I'm not saying this is something to be admired. Helena is very manipulative. She excels at manipulating with her language and her tone.
When I said my Annie was being tortured, this was a joke. And a lie.
We're now seeing Helena for the first time, and this is one of the first things we see, is how proficient she is at doing this PR apology thing.
I'm committed to this company with every part of me, just like my Annie. And just like you.
I also have a bit of sympathy for her character. We see her get verbally assaulted by her father. Definitely some very unhealthy, abusive behavior. So clearly her childhood, her upbringing, her situation has not been good, even though she's like rich and stuff and the heiress to this massive company and cult. She basically runs the company. She still is trapped under the thumb of her controlling father. There is a clear, unhealthy power dynamic. It's also very clear that she is very burdened by this weight on her shoulders. You can tell after this apology video finishes, the reaction in her body language, the way she completely collapses after doing this publicity thing. There is a lot of stress and weight on her shoulders. That being said, after fully analyzing this season, I have come to the conclusion that Helena is not a good person. She is a bit of a snake. All right. Helena then goes into a conference room where she's looking over video footage of what happened earlier that day on the severed floor with herself and the other innies. She comes across the video footage of Helly kissing Mark for the first time. Not only does this catch Helena by surprise, but I also think it fills her with a lot of different conflicting emotions. I think that she genuinely falls in love with Mark. Like, she becomes obsessed with him. The moment that she sees her innie is in love with this guy and kisses him, she now wants that. Helena says later in the season that she has never brought anyone home to her father, and I think it's safe to assume that she's never really dated anyone, ever. Just based on how much this kiss affects her and how much effort she puts in to try and be close to Mark. The next day, so the day after the overtime contingency was activated and the innies woke up in the outside world, Dylan starts job hunting immediately and has an interview at a place called Great Doors, a door factory, and this is a really, really funny scene. I love how they set this up. I love that they had the boss man there interviewing him be super similar in look and build and in the vibe, you know, and how they were joking with each other, and really well done, funny scene.
You like kickball?
Do I follow it professionally?
You play on Fridays. There's a fun prize if you win.
The whole point of having this scene here, aside from being a little bit of a comedic relief and also getting to see more into the outie Dylan's life, this scene shows us how severed people are treated in the outside world. Because if you remember from season 1, severance is a very controversial procedure. Many people view it as a modern day form of slavery, and also that it's like a very unnatural, harmful awful, inhuman thing to do. Dylan actually gets discriminated against because he is severed. Things are going really well in this interview until the very moment that Dylan mentions he was a severed worker at Lumen. The tone shifts immediately. The interviewer basically just kicks him out. So because it is such a controversial procedure, it's also making it difficult for people who have been severed to get jobs outside of being a severed worker, which is pretty convenient for Lumen, I guess. We also see Irving at nighttime going out to a telephone booth. We see him do this several times. He makes a call at this telephone booth, but then he stops because he sees that there is someone following him. Turns out the person following him is Bert. Devin invites Mark out to lunch, and while they're there at lunch talking at Pips, Devin brings up again that she thinks his innie may have potentially been talking about Gemma and tries to talk with him about the implications of what that means if Gemma could potentially still be alive. Devin is clearly the best critical thinker in the family. Based on the evidence presented, the option that makes the most sense is that Mark's innie was talking about Gemma. Devin is trying to talk with Mark about this and he is not hearing it. He gets really offended and upset that Devin would be considering this at all. Devin tries to bring up how she was in pain as well because of Gemma's death, and Mark just shoves away her pain, saying that basically she isn't allowed to be affected by Gemma's death the way that he was, which I think is really immature and unfair. But Mark is upset. He leaves early, and on his way out, we see Mr. Drummond sitting in another booth listening in on their conversation. It's either that Saturday night or Sunday night, Mr. Milchick stops by Mark's house again to try and convince him again to come back to Lumen. In order to convince Mark to come back, Milchick starts talking about Gemma. When Mark was hired, he had said the reason he wanted a severed job was because of his wife's death.
You cited her death as a primary motivator for severing.
And Milchick sort of uses this against him as an emotional manipulator.
You said since she died, every day feels like a year. That you felt like you were choking on her ghost. Do you still feel that way, Mr. Scout?
The big thing Milchick tells Mark is that his innie has found love.
The Mark I've come to know at Lumen is happy. He's found love.
Love? With who?
Part of me thinks that this might be the reason why he decides to keep going to work, because in some form of his life, some part of him is finding fulfillment and is in love.
The solace you have given him down there will make its way to you.
Mark does go back to work, and Helena watches him closely as he walks into the building. I think that she is already in love with Mark, and this is her just being a little bit creepily obsessed with him from day one, you know? Helena's in the conference room with a couple other higher-ups at the company, including Mr. Drummond, and they discuss some interesting things here too that are very important. One, we learned that Milchick only had 48 hours to put together the new team for Mark, so yeah, it hasn't been 5 months. It's literally been 48 hours. And then Helena says,
We need Marcus back to work long enough to complete Cold Harbor.
This is the first mention of Cold Harbor. We need him back to work long enough to just complete this project. So something is very important about Cold Harbor. And for some reason, Mark is the center of it all.
Please, they're my friends. You can't just make them disappear.
The board gets Mark's message through the speaker and decide that they're going to comply with his wishes. They know he won't work without his friends there, and for some reason, they need him to do his work. So Mark has a lot more power than he realizes, and he does pull the strings and gets everybody rehired, gets his friends back. We get to watch everybody going into work that day. Everyone is back at Lumen. So at this point, Mark has been back at work for 3 days. And it's been about maybe 5 to 6 days since the overtime contingency was triggered. Since then, Mark has not seen Miss Cobel. But when he gets home from work that night, her car is in the driveway. She's packing up all her stuff, getting ready to leave. And this scene between Mark and Cobel, God, it's so good! It's so good. The dialogue is incredible.
Hello, Mark. Just back from work.
The acting is so well done.
Where do you think you're going?
What do you care?
What do I care?
The tension in this scene is... it's mind-blowing. I love this scene.
You were in my house. I ate your shitty fucking cookies.
I really enjoy the energy between these two characters. Mark's reaction to Cobel's betrayal and deceit.
I trusted you. I told you what I'd gone through these past 2 years.
I love how he is so blunt and bold with her, and she is so nonchalant.
Who are you?
I thought you were quitting.
She's just fucking over it, man, okay?
They convinced you to stay. You're so easy to sway.
He's furious. She's deflecting his questions. She ends up getting in her car, starting to drive away, and Mark jumps in front of her car so that she can't move. They have a bit of a standoff here where Mark is just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. He looks at her and asks if this has something to do with Gemma.
Do you know something about Gemma?
And her reaction tells him everything he needs to know. She stays silent for a while, and they both just sit there, looking at each other silently. And then Cobel freaks out and drives away. That is the ending of the episode. Goodbye, Mrs. Selvig. It's so good. As we know, Cobel is one of my top characters. I am obsessed with her. I love her so much. I just love how they're keeping her character very aloof and mysterious and sort of lurking in the shadows for the majority of this season. And I'm excited to talk about where this goes. Episode 3 is titled Who is Alive? And episode 3 is crazy. One of my favorite episodes of the season just because of a scene at the end. The very bold choices in this episode. Mark and Devin are actively planning a heist to try and reach Mark's innie. They want to try to find a way to confirm with Mark's innie to ask him who he was talking about when he said, "She's alive," which is kind of silly because there's really not many options here. I mean, one option is the baby and one is Gemma. So like, the episode starts with Mark timing how long it takes him to get from his car into the elevator, okay? And this is confusing at first. At the end of the episode, they reveal why he's doing this, and it's because he and Devin came up with the idea that he could inscribe who is alive onto a light and shine the light in his face to like burn the message into his eyes, and hopefully it would last long enough to get to the elevator to his innie so he would see who is alive in his eyes. You know, hey, not a bad plan. It could be worse, but it's just, the thing is, like, typically burning your eyes with a message doesn't last that long. But that's what he's doing. He's planning a heist. He's trying to figure out how he can communicate with his innie to confirm whether or not Gemma is alive. This episode feels a lot more like a classic season 1 episode. We get to see both sides of the world, the severed floor and the outside world, and it goes in a chronological order. In the office, the innies are back to their shenanigans. They are taking their new freedoms granted by Mr. Milchick and they are running with them. They have Irving draw a photo of Miss Casey, and then they make photocopies of it to go take it around to all the other departments to see if anyone knows what happened to her. Well, so far, they only know about 2 other departments, one being O&D and one being the creepy weird goat department. They assign Irving to take a poster to O&D and ask around about Miss Casey, while Helena and Mark are gonna go talk to the goat people. Dylan decides to stay back and keep working. He really doesn't want to get in trouble right now because, you know, the family visitation suite perk that he can get, he does not want to risk that at all. Before they all separate, Helena interacts with Irving, and again, you can kind of tell it's Helena because something is off here. She knows it's going to be hard for him to go back to O&D for the first time since Bert was retired. She says to him, "Hey, we got you," in a way that's just really awkward and strange.
We got you.
Thank you, Ellie.
You can kind of tell that Irving is a little suspicious of her in this moment. Like, there's a lot of tension between them. Irving can tell something is off about Helly, and Helena is just doing her best, but clearly not doing well enough to fool Irving.
We got you.
Thank you, Ellie.
After Mark and Helly leave, Irving goes up to Dylan, telling him he made a drawing of the black hallway. He recreated it in his little notebook and invites Dylan to go out looking for it with him. Dylan acts really weird about it and again just says, I gotta stay here. No.
Maybe you go yourself. Like for stealth, you know?
Leaving Irving to figure this shit out on his own. Miss Huang shows up for Dylan as Irving's about to leave, points out his little hall pass that he's got.
Hall pass.
He's all proud of it and kind of smug about it.
Hall pass.
It's kind of cute, I don't know. Miss Wong ends up taking Dylan to the security office, or what used to be the security office, and opens it up for him to find the new family visitation suite. And Gretchen is there.
You've earned an 18-minute visitation event with your Audi's wife, Gretchen G.
They are so cute. There is an appropriate tension and awkwardness in the air when they meet each other.
Should we sit?
I mean, his first words to her are nice sack, so...
Nice sack.
Sorry?
You're
Oh, thanks. They made me put my stuff in here.
Good times all around. By the end of this 18-minute visitation, he's making her smile. They're talking about their kids, and it seems to go really well. Gretchen hugs him when they say goodbye, and she says, I love you, because, you know, this literally is the body of her husband, but just not her husband. After this visitation between Dylan and Gretchen, we cut to their life at home in the outside world. They are not in the best place right now. Their marriage is not doing so hot at the moment. Dylan is a bit of a loser, I guess, like kind of like a little bit of a loser. So it's kind of fun getting to see both sides of this where, you know, on the inside and on the severed floor, it seems like they actually have a cute little friendship relationship. Things are going great. And then outside, it's a little stressful. All right. When Irving goes back to O&D, he runs into Felicia, Bert's other main coworker that we saw a lot in the last season. There's an immediate air of tenderness between them. Irving and Felicia spent the day laughing and sharing stories, talking about how wonderful Bert was, until Irving shows Felicia his notebook. He shows her that he's made a drawing of Bert every single day that he hasn't been able to see him. She looks through all the drawings and at the end sees the drawing of the black hallway that Irving made. And the tone shifts so quickly.
How do you know about the exports hall?
Yeah, so more black hallway lore. Felicia tells him they used to take a lot of their products, shipments down into that hallway, but now they have a guy that comes up and gets stuff from them and then he goes. But luckily, Felicia still knows how to get there and she writes down the instructions for Irving. Mark and Helena reach the goat room to find it empty, but they don't give up there. They decide it would be a great idea to, crawl through the poopy goat hallway.
Careful, there's poop.
Okay.
And on the other side, they find a massive room with a big, luscious green hill and like a bunch of goats in it. Crazy. As they walk by, we actually see that one of the goats with the big giant devil horns, is actually a dude in a costume. So that's kind of weird. One thing that is immediately apparent about the goat people is that they are extremely paranoid. Besides the guy in the costume, the first person we see in the goat room is Goat Lady. I don't know what her actual name would be, but she is Goat Lady. She's in charge of this area, I'm pretty sure. She first starts charging at them with scissors, wondering if they were going to attack her or kill her. And then she takes them to her desk, which is just in the middle of the green field for some reason. She's acting super standoffish, really weird. She denies knowing who Miss Casey was and just keeps trying to get Helena and Mark to leave. I think she genuinely is worried that they are super dangerous and that they are hunting her down, because not too long into their conversation, she calls for backup. And suddenly there's like 50 people in this goat room? Where did they come from? You know? What? All the goat people surround Mark and Helly, and Mark gives this speech to them.
They just disappeared her. Who's gonna step up when it happens to us? If one of your goats went missing, wouldn't you go looking for it?
They all open up and talk about how they did know Miss Casey.
She had a gentle way about her. She said my Audi excels at stargazing. Meant a great deal to me.
They did actually have wellness sessions with her, but no luck. They have no idea where she is. That was kind of all for nothing, but we did get to see the goat room, so that's fun. And I guess they sort of made kind of an ally in a way. After the goat people check them for pouches, of course.
Oh, we would like to see your bellies.
Our bellies.
Please. See? Pouchless.
Proves nothing.
It's a callback to that little pouches joke in season 1. Remember that? You know, everyone, they thought they had pouches. Check your bellies for the pouches. Okay. There's a scene where Milchick is being awarded because of his promotion and stuff, and the company decides to give him these paintings, these recanonicalized paintings.
These inclusively recanonicalized paintings
of Keir. Keir as a black person.
Intended to help you see yourself in Keir, our founder.
Very strange. Natalie also expresses to Milchick that she has received these paintings as well. Milchick is obviously uncomfortable about these paintings, and he actually ends up putting them away on a shelf in the back storage area in his office, which is pretty significant. There's a lot of symbolism there with putting something on the shelf. A lot of my fellow ex-religious folks will understand that, but yeah, you put something on the shelf that makes you uncomfortable. Like, you know, I'm just not gonna think about that right now. And then eventually the shelf breaks and it's a whole thing. Anyway, Milchick receives paintings of Black Keir. Outside of the office that day, we follow Miss Cobel for a little bit, heading toward a place called Salt's Neck. And with her, she's got her mom's oxygen tube, the one that was on her shrine last season. So we see that in the car next to her. She looks down at it deliberately, telling us that she is going back to the place where she was from, where her mom was before she died. But Cobel stops. She doesn't go all the way to Salt's Neck. In fact, she abruptly decides to turn around and head back to Lumen. Later that night, long after the workday is over and the parking lot is empty, we see Harmony Cobel lurking in the Lumen parking lot, waiting for Helena Egan. And this scene as well, so good. It's very cryptic, very tense. Cobel is trying to say she needs her job back, like her actual job, not some bogus job. And Helena is like, you're being super ungrateful, biatch. But in like a religious tone.
I think you've overestimated your contributions and underestimated your blessings.
Helena's acting like they're being so benevolent by inviting her back to even have a job in the first place, which is crazy. And Cobel kind of calls a bluff, like, nah, you guys need me, actually.
We didn't have to ask you back. You didn't have a choice.
Helena calls her bluff back at her and is like, oh yeah? Are you sure about that?
Are you sure?
It seems that Cobel is kind of getting to her at this point because Helena shifts the conversation.
Why don't we reset? It doesn't have to be this way.
And she calls Natalie to try and get a meeting with the board of Lumen, which is still another big mystery that hasn't really been revealed to us yet. The meeting with the board is accepted. Helena is ready to take Cobel to talk to the board, like right now. But as Harmony's walking up to the car with Helena, she looks at Helena and Helena's security guard, and there's a vibe going between them. Like, I think that Harmony can tell something is fishy about what Helena and security guard are gonna do. I think that she's worried for her life in this moment, and she leaves. She backs away, gets in her car, and speeds away so fast into the night. I loved this scene. I loved the writing in this scene, and I loved the lighting in this scene. It's so beautiful. Really well done all around. I mean, like every single shot of this show. This entire show is a work of art, as you know, is my opinion. This scene between Helena and Harmony is very interesting to me. Harmony is the one who discovered a weakness at Lumen, pointed it out to them, they ignored her, and then fired her, she still came back to save their asses. Then they're expecting her to just like be grateful that they offered her some phony job. It just reeks of corporate bullshit. You know? Truthfully, Harmony has some pretty strong grounds to sue this company up the wazoo. There's going to be more revealed later that gives her an even bigger reason to fucking sue their asses. We get to see Devin and Rickon again this episode, and Devin comes home at night to see Natalie from Lumen in her living room talking to Rickon.
Beer and juleps cannot fill the void left by love, which is why sadness is among the most recurrent issues facing the poor. It's so astute.
That's what I was going for.
Lumen has offered Rickon a massive book publishing deal. They want him to completely rewrite the UUR book, making it an innie edition.
A version of the UUR specifically for innies.
Oh, but what's wrong with the current version?
Devin is obviously confused and a little bit worried about this.
If we just tweak it here and there.
They think that it could be a real game changer.
Additionally, Natalie and Rickon have a really weird, almost like a flirty vibe going on between them. Not like they're actually flirting, but it's just a little too comfortable for my comfort. Like, if I was Devin, if I was Rickon's wife, I'd be a little bit concerned about this. But I think even more than him kind of being flirty with Natalie, Devin is pretty upset that Rickon is compromising his morals to appease Lumen and for money, ultimately. We'll see more of that later. After this uncomfortable encounter with Rickon and Natalie, Devin goes over to Mark's house to help him heist, all right? Together they are building the spotlight that Mark is going to shine in his face to burn the message who is alive into his eyeballs. And then Mark drives away somewhere to practice how this would work in his car. He starts putting a blanket over his head, shining the light in his eyes for a certain amount of time, and then seeing how long the message can last. And he's doing this over and over and over again until he looks up and sees Ragabi in front of him. Now, Mark has not seen Ragabi since she bashed in Mr. Grainer's head with a baseball bat. Bad things happen around Ragabi, so he's not super happy to see her.
Are you trying to burn a message to your innie, into your retinas?
Yeah.
Apparently she's been following him, because how did she know where he was? That's what I want to know. She wants him to let her in the car so she can talk to him. He's not letting her in, and she gets very serious. Like, she means business, okay?
Unlock the door.
Why?
We need to talk.
Oh my God.
Mark, unlock this fucking door!
Ragabi tells Mark she heard about the OTC and then asks him if his innie let them know that his wife is alive at Lumen.
Did he tell her your wife is alive at Lumen?
Who told you that?
Just tells him. It happened so quick. She just knew that, and she tells him.
Is Gemma alive?
She was the last time I saw her.
This is honestly, I think my favorite scene of the entire season. There's every episode has amazing shit in it, but this scene, I talked about this in another video that I made about it, but like I'm going to talk about it again because I love it. It's so powerful. It's so good. The way that Mark reacts to hearing about his wife being alive is wow. Such an emotional situation, and Adam Scott does such a good job with talented people. Where'd you get all these talented people? The way that Mark reacts, I love how he just is quiet. Like he just processes it for a second and has to like get out of the car and get fresh air. His body is reacting to this news. The most powerful part of this, Ragabi's starting to tell him she can help him reintegrate and that reintegrating will help him get her back, right? And she doesn't even get a chance to finish her sentence.
With a version of you that can...
Yes, do it.
Right then, right there, agrees to be reintegrated. When just a few minutes ago, he was like, no way in hell, you're gonna kill me. I don't wanna do that.
There's an easier way.
Didn't seem particularly easy for Petey.
As soon as he knows Gemma's alive, he's willing to sacrifice his own life for the chance of saving her, which is incredible.
You're sure?
I want to see my wife.
This scene alone made the whole fucking episode for me. Like, this episode is my favorite of this season. because of this scene. If you want to hear more of my thoughts about it, you can watch my Severance season 2 episodes 1 through 5 video. It's I talk about it in there. And what's even crazier is right after he's like, yeah, okay, I'll reintegrate, they do it that night. Like, they go home to his apartment, she pulls out all her fancy science equipment, and they start the reintegration process that night. Crazy. The way that they do reintegration in this season is really interesting. Ragabi is trying to do something differently with Mark than she did with Petey. With Petey, it seems like Ragabi reintegrated him all at once, like just completely let his brain go wild. It overwhelmed him and ultimately killed him. With Mark, she's taking a different approach. They're doing a very slow, incremental reintegration process, which allows the episodes to maintain the tension and be really interesting while still getting glimpses into the reintegration. This night that they do the first little bit of reintegration, Mark gets his first memory from Lumen. He has sort of a vision of waking up at Lumen on the table, and that's it. He just remembers waking up on the table. And the way that they edit this is so cool. Amazing work. The amount of detail and work that went into creating this edit is fantastic. It's not even a full minute, I don't think, but it probably took days to get this all recorded and edited together. I mean, the editing in general is phenomenal with this show, but this edit specifically, I think, is very, very well done. And that is the end of episode 3. Woe's Hollow. Episode 4 is titled Woe's Hollow. Now, Woe is one of the 4 tempers, and I think that Woe is meant to be one of the main featured tempers for this season, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Woe comes up a lot this season, and this episode is wild. First of all, I have a problem. I have a complaint. Let me preface this with this episode is incredible. It is amazing. All of this episode, I just have kind of like that code detector thing. I'm having another one of those like mental blocks that just is driving me insane. And it's the logistics of this little retreat that they go on, okay? Episode 4 starts with all 4 innies in the middle of like a national forest. The innies are like out in the wild. It's wild. We open up on Irving's face. He's the first one to wake up in this episode, and he's just in the middle of an icy lake. He starts yelling out, and Mark is up on a freaking big rock, big boulder, a big little hill. Mark is on top of the hill, and then Irving walks up, and Helena comes out of nowhere. Irving's even like, where'd you come from? Her being so sus again, too. I don't know.
Where did you come from?
I don't know. What are we doing out here?
You're not good at pretending like you don't know what's going on, is all I'm gonna say.
I don't know.
And then Dylan just comes out of the bushes, like, okay.
Oh my God!
No. The logistics of this retreat.
Holy shit! Out fucking sight!
I refuse. No.
Oh my God, I mean, I knew there was no actual ceiling, but this is fucking insane!
Their Audis had to have dressed up in all this stuff and then walked out into these random places in the woods and then waited for their chip to be like switched for their innie. Like, is that what they did? But then if they did that, how did they all get out there without talking to each other, right? Because you're not supposed to know who your coworkers are when you're an Audi. So Mark and Irving and Helena and Dylan, how would they all travel out there without meeting each other's Audis? You know, like, did they helicopter them all out there one by one, drop them in an inconspicuous place and say, hold still, don't move for 5 minutes or whatever, and then they wake them up? Is that what they did? Did the Audis give permission to be like put under or something and they get knocked out and then they wake up as their innies in the middle of a forest? I don't like it. I'm gonna move on though. So the innies are all on top of this hill overlooking a frozen lake surrounded by ice and snow and trees and no other human beings in sight. Then they hear a freaking TV behind them. So they turn around and there's a TV not plugged into anything, so a battery-powered TV, I suppose, playing like an orientation video thing. They start the video, and the video is Mr. Milchick explaining that they are on what's called an ortbo.
Outdoor retreat and team building occurrence.
Yeah, an ortbo. And this video that's playing on the TV is made to be a spooky, creepy video. I think Mr. Milchick intentionally edited it to be unsettling. Like, the music that's in there.
Scissor Cave, the very same grotto where Keir Egan tamed the Four Tempers.
He added that music. That music is in the whatever VCR thing that he made. And the editing is so choppy and strange that I can't help but think Mr. Milchick did this intentionally. He must have done this to try and be spooky and scary. That is my opinion, because otherwise, what is going on?
Stray not from Keir's path, lest you roil nature's wrath.
So they're told they're on an ortbo and they need to go find a place called Scissor Cave to find a very special sacred tome that belonged to Keir Egan, okay? And they're told that there will be help provided along the way to guide them to the cave. And they turn around and there is an animatronic version of Mark, a very unsettling, spooky animatronic version of Mark pointing his finger. Now, I've decided that they are animatronic because that's just what makes the most sense for this to be based in reality and not some kind of like hokey magic thing. There's also evidence that Lumen has experience with animatronic technology in episode 1. Some of the new innies that show up in the beginning of episode 1 talk about how in their perpetuity wing, they had animatronic versions of the wax figure kind of people that we have at this Lumen.
What's your perpetuity wing like? Do the Egans move?
No.
Imagine how much creepier it would be if they freaking moved.
Ours were animatronic. They even did this little choreographed dance.
So yours just stand there?
Must be some animatronic that Milchick had ordered for everybody. Now, Mr. Milchick is clearly hiding somewhere around here. I think this was logistically planned by him to have Dylan come out of the bushes when the others are up on that rock so that they would all look over to Dylan. When they're looking at Dylan, Mr. Milchick can sneak out and put a TV behind them so that they don't see him moving out the TV. And then he sneaks back into the bushes, activates the TV with like a remote or something, turns it on so it starts playing its music. Then when they all turn around to the TV, he goes over to the spot that Dylan used to be at and he puts like this sickly animatronic version of Mark out there for when they like turn around and they're like, what? So Mr. Milchick must have done all of that and pulled it off. I'm very impressed. Anyway, the animatronic points in a direction that they're supposed to go and the team starts adventuring around in the forest, trying to find Lesbian Cave. I mean Scissor Cave. As the team ventures around, so many beautiful shots. Again, cinematography, beautiful. And the music is really ominous. We hear this song only one other time this season, and it's played during a moment that is also a very culty experience. The instances in which we hear this song are always related to the very deep, more doctrinal parts of Lumen, like the more religious core of it, where they worship Keir Egan as a literal deity. I'll bring it up later when it happens. But the theme song is really interesting. It sounds very hymnal, but like a spooky hymn. It also sounds kind of like a ripoff of that one song from Pirates of the Caribbean 3. Or was that 2? Was it Pirates 2? No, I think it was Pirates 3. I'll fact check that. Little bit of a ripoff of that song. But I'm not super mad about it. It just kind of distracted me because I was like, oh, Pirates of the Caribbean! The group encounters a few more animatronics and they arrive at Scissor Cave, where they find the 4th installment of Keir Egan's sacred books. They are instructed to go to Woe's Hollow, and they're given a map to get to Woe's Hollow. As they're traversing to Woe's Hollow, Irving is reading this scriptural book and telling a story that when you actually understand what it means is wild.
Peter became unveiled.
that night an instrument of nature.
And nature played Dita with elegance.
If your mind is like super pure and innocent and lovely and beautiful, it's about jerking off.
My brother unfastened himself. His every thrust found rhythm with the trill of the crickets.
About jerking off.
I had no choice but to listen as he spilt his lineage upon the soil.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So the book is titled For Dieter, and it's supposedly the story of Keir Egan's twin, Dieter Egan.
The lodgings of my mother's womb I shared with another, a twin brother who was called Dieter.
Keir had a twin.
Now, there's a lot of evidence that this is not a literal person. Dieter, in my opinion, I think represents Keir Egan's own wicked, evil side, a manifestation of the dark side of himself. It could also be a reference to Severance. One's innie is the twin of the Audi, two people living in the same body. So that could be another way to look at it, I guess. But in this scripture, Keir seems to be consciously aware of Dieter and everything that Dieter does.
He beseeched me to take to the wood with him to live as paupers. My love for my twin unbalancing my judgment, I acceded and we ventured into the wood.
So I think it's more of a metaphorical manifestation of his wickedness, his evilness, because only wicked people jerk off, you know what I mean? As they're traveling through the woods, Irving is showing that he is continuously suspicious of Helly. I think he knows that something is wrong, but he doesn't know what it is or why. He's finally open about his feelings for the first time. He goes up to Mark and tells him he doesn't trust Helly.
I think she might be lying about what her Audi saw.
And the main reason he uses for not trusting Helly, the night gardener.
Why would you think that?
Night gardeners?
On the way to Woe's Hollow, the group runs into a blobby, rotting, disgusting looking mass of brown matter that sort of resembles a seal, maybe? Is what we decided, I guess?
We should eat it.
Pardon me?
We don't know what this is. We don't know anything.
Irving, calm down.
If we never get answers as to what this thing is, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. I'm gonna lose my mind. I don't get it. What is this? Someone explain what this fucking is to me. After the seal experience, the team comes across a mighty waterfall. Yea, in fact, the mightiest, tallest waterfall in the entire world. No, that's what Mr. Milchick tells them.
This is the tallest waterfall on the planet.
Mr. Milchick's first words to the four are,
Keir's twin was always with him.
Evidence that the twin is in your head. It's part of you. The twin is something that's in you. The innies are taken to some really nice heated tents around a giant fire. Mr. Milchick greets them with food and stuff, congratulates them on completing their treacherous journey today. At some point, Helena goes into Irving's tent in an effort to lighten the mood, befriend him, make him laugh. I'm not really sure why, but she goes into his tent and brings him a snow seal that she made, teasing him a little bit about the debacle from earlier with the seal when he said we should eat the seal.
In case you were hungry.
Irving takes this opportunity to confront Helena about the night gardener. I don't think he understands the full extent of what's happening right now. He just got that gut feeling that he doesn't trust her. When he brings up the night gardener, her Helly mask is gone.
What did you really see during the overtime contingency?
I told you.
The way she says his name is so Helena, and it's eerie, it's spooky.
It won't change anything.
Irving?
She does that? Like Helena will do that, where she'll lower her voice. She did it with Miss Cobel.
Harmony? Irving?
Like that, it's a little bit of a Helena manipulation coming out. The team gathers around the campfire for a spooky scripture reading by Mr. Milchick. As he's reading this scripture, there's a few things that come up that are very interesting to me. There's a mention of an ether mill.
We must return to father, I said, but I promise to look after you in the ether mill.
And this is the first we hear of the ether mill. Ether and the ether mill is going to be a really important thing in this season. Lots of theories surrounding that we will get to.
I first encountered the temporal woe.
The scripture also talks about woe a little bit. It describes the temper, the being of woe.
A gaunt bride, half the height of a natural woman.
Woe is described as a gaunt bride. Gaunt means lean and haggard because of suffering, hunger, or age. Now, what's interesting about this is all the depictions of woe are as an old woman, like a small, frail, balding old woman. This is the gaunt bride, half the height of a normal woman. This reminds me of child brides, which is a very, very common thing in cults, is having child brides. Like, it's actually one of the markers for a cult is that there's a lot of sexual misconduct involved, and often, yes, that involves child brides. I just think it's so interesting, this kind of otherworldly symbolism of an old woman in a young woman's body. It implies to me a child bride suffering and forced to grow up too fast. I am probably 1,000,000% just projecting my own life experiences and understanding of cults onto this freaking thing, but like, that's what it made me think about, and I just wonder if there is more of a meaning behind this character. Milchick reads the end of Kier's tome of the story of Dieter, which includes the graphic and somewhat magical details of Dieter's gory death post, jerking off.
I was looking at him when his eye came out, and as the pus from his eye thickened into sap, I turned from my gargling brother and walked to the pool of the hollow.
The scripture ends with Chaos's whore.
Now he's no one's brother, only Chaos's whore.
Chaos's whore. Because of jerking off, my god.
Did his brother really die that way, Mr. Milchick?
Every word is truth.
Helena is pointing out how absolutely ridiculous the scripture is.
You guys, he melted, right? He turned into the forest because he masturbated.
I think she is having a lot of fun pretending to be Helly. This may be one of the only experiences she's had in her life where she's been able to feel truly free. You know, she's in the identity of another person who is a little bit more rebellious and rambunctious, and it's in character for her to do something like this, to mock the Holy Scriptures. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, according to Mr. Milchick's reaction, yeah, that's a pretty big deal what she's doing.
I mean, seriously, that's actually the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So Milchick looks appropriately shocked that it's Helena who is instigating this mockery and laughter, and I think that's one of the reasons why Mr. Milchick gets a little frustrated and leaves.
You know, we often laugh at what we don't understand. The team I thought I knew would have processed more thoughtfully.
After Milchick leaves, the innies are sitting around the campfire and talking, and Irving, again, brings up the Night Gardener.
Just tell us, Helly.
What? Tell us what?
The Night Gardener. What was he wearing?
What is your deal right now, dude?
Tell us
okay.
exactly
Irving,
what he was wearing.
And Helena retaliates at Irving in a way that is very female bullying coded. You know what I mean?
It's okay. We all know Irving's upset because he can't ever see Bert again. He's really lonely.
She basically accuses Irving of being jealous of her because Bert is gone and he's alone. Crazy thing to do, especially knowing how heartbroken Irving is. Very out of character for the Helly that he knows. Irving stomps off into the cold wilderness to just, I don't know what his plan was, to get away, I guess. He's angry. Starts calling out for Mr. Milchick because I think he gets lost, but nobody can hear him and nobody goes after him, and Irving decides to pass out on a rock. Now, this was entirely unnecessary. Irving very well could have stormed off and gone into his tent, but, you know, the decision was made. Irving went into the wilderness, and he is now lost and falls asleep on a cold, frozen rock. While Irving's wandering off, Mark goes to, comfort Helly, and they end up banging. Yeah, they bang, dude. This is the thing that more than anything tells me Helena is a bad person. This is just bad. With all of the context, knowing that this is Helena pretending to be Heli, she is effectively, she is taking advantage of him. This is non-consensual sex, is what I'll say. This is what makes her the villain in my eyes. That'll be a no from me. After Mark and Helena are done doing their thing, she whispers this to him.
Didn't like who I was on the outside. I was ashamed.
My initial interpretation of this is that she was telling the truth, that she didn't like herself as the head of Lumen. She doesn't like being stuck in this cult. She doesn't like being verbally berated by her father constantly and the pressure that's on her shoulders. And maybe that's her breaking down in a moment of truth, telling him, I didn't like who I was on the outside. I wanted to pretend to be Heli. Could also be looked at as Helena just being a manipulative bitch and trying to cover her tracks because her story definitely does not add up. Could go either way. I don't know. As Mark and Helena are talking and kissing, Mark has a brief flash of Gemma switched out with Helena. And this is the first sign we get of him experiencing the reintegration. So there's a little glimpse of that reintegration happening for the Innie Mark as well. That's all we get for today's episode. While Mark and Helena are banging, Irving is dreaming. This dream is wild. He's walking through the forest and he sees a desk from the MDR workspace in the middle of these woods. He sits down, he sees Bert across from him, and diagonal to him, he sees, whoa, the gaunt bride. Just interesting imagery. And then Irving looks at his computer screen. On his screen, the numbers are swirling around and there's letters in there too. And if you look really close, you can see the letters and numbers actually form a face. This face, it looks like Helena, and the letters spell out Egan. It's the letters for Egan all over this page of Heli's face. I think this is signifying the moment when Irving realizes that she is an Egan, that her Audi has been with them the whole time. When he wakes up, after somehow surviving that night, he finds Helena down at the bottom of the waterfall. Very interesting to me. Helena is at the waterfall early in the morning, looking at it with a worshipful gaze. I almost think that she was worshiping. And that's why he's like, oh, why are you down here? Because it's kind of weird.
Hey, kid, what are you doing down here?
He corners her. He confirms in his own mind, yep, I'm right.
What you said to me last night? It was cruel. Heli was never cruel. So if you're not her, then who are you?
And he threatens to drown her. Yeah.
Mr. Milchick! Turn her back, Mr. Milchick!
What are you doing, man?
Milchick is at the top of the waterfall, closer to where the campsite was, along with Mark and Dylan, seeing Irving and Helena down at the bottom of the waterfall, where Irving proceeds to drown her, saying that she is an Audi. Then Helena confirms that this is, in fact, true.
She's an Egan! Turn her back, Mr. Milchick!
God damn it, stop doing!
Yes! Do it, Seth!
Milchick mentions the Glasgow block.
Remove the Glasgow block now.
That's what kept her from severing when she entered severed spaces. Just an important thing to remember is the Glasgow block, okay? While Irving is shoving Helena's face down into the water, she converts back into Heli and he pulls her back up. Keep in mind, the actual Heli has not been awake yet since the end of season 1. So this is for her directly after the gala at Lumen, when she's giving her speech and gets tackled. She wakes up in the water, in the middle of a national park, freezing to death. Just a wild experience from her perspective.
We're not happy. We're miserable. They torture us down there. We're prisoners!
So Irving did something bad, and he's immediately fired.
You have threatened collegial murder in the pond of Woe's Hollow. There can be no penalty but immediate and permanent dismissal.
You're done. You're done, guy. No. Dylan yells sorry down to Irving, and Irving yells back that it's okay. Just hang in there. Very important to remember.
I should have listened! It's all okay. Just remember, hang in there.
Just hang in there. All right, kids. Just hang in there. Milchick explains to Irving how he will be completely erased, eradicated from the severed floor as if he had never even existed, which echoes what Irving said about Bert's retirement party back in season 1.
You walk out of here with your memories. You carry them home with you every night. No one can rip them away from you like they never existed.
When Irving was yelling at Mr. Milchick about how you can't just take people away like they never even existed.
Like you never existed! That's enough!
That is what Milchick is doing to Irving right now.
It will be as if you, Irving B., never even existed nor drew a single breath.
And he meant it, man. They literally do just wipe his essence clean. We'll see that in the next episode. Something I also thought was really cool is how this episode began with Irving waking up and ended with him dying, essentially. The whole episode sort of followed Irving and his journey. But again, the logistics of this are crazy. Like, so you're telling me, okay, let's say they did keep everybody separate. They helicoptered everyone in separately, so none of the Audis interacted with each other to get to this national park, right? Milchick just has Irving walk into the bushes.
Walk into the forest.
And then he turns him off, right? So wouldn't that mean that Irving's Audi would then wake up, be near all the other innies, and like want to know what's going on and be really confused? Oh, the logistics of this are driving me insane. Anyway, episode 4, other than the logistical element of shipping the Audis to this winter wonderland, I loved this episode. Fantastic. Episode 5 is titled Trojan's Horse, which, yes, is the improper grammar for that phrase. It's usually just a Trojan horse. But Trojan's horse is the way Rickon decides to say it, and for some reason they made that the title of the episode. Devin and Rickon have another conversation about Rickon's book that he's rewriting for Lumen, and during this conversation, Rickon refers to Natalie as Nat, which is very concerning to me.
One point that Nat made was innies tend to thrive in an environment of structure.
Devin talks to Rickon about how he is completely compromising the original message that he put into his book from last season to make this Lumen branded copy.
Babe, it's the literal opposite of what you were saying before.
While Devin's trying to call him out for bowing to Lumen's wishes, Rickon is trying to argue that his book is a Trojan horse.
Well, it's a Trojan's horse. If I can get my ideas to severed workers, that might beget a revolution.
In a way, he's trying to justify the morality of what he's doing because he knows it's wrong. But Lumen is offering him a lot of money.
But these aren't your ideas. These are not your ideas.
This is a fiscal and creative opportunity unlike any I have yet seen, and I'm not inclined to just walk away from it.
Then Rickon starts being really manipulative and implying that Devin is being ungrateful.
Unless me selling millions of copies of my book and the life that manages to give us has somehow lost its appeal for you.
I am very upset with Rickon right now. He is making terrible choices and clearly compromising his morality for money. Rickon has committed what I believe is the worst sin: greed. Rickon has sold out.
I see how you'd feel that way.
His behavior overall is very unlikable this season. But anyway, all this to say, I found it very interesting that they titled this episode Trojan's Horse as a reference to Rickon talking about his own book.
It's a Trojan's horse.
But I actually think that this title is referring to Mark. If you think about it, this process of Mark reintegrating, figuring out how to get his wife out of Lumen, he is a Trojan horse. Anyway, that's my speculation. I just found it very curious that they titled the episode this way. Episode 5 actually starts with a creepy whistling guy who I so lovingly refer to in my notes as Creepy Doctor Guy, Dr. Maurer. Creepy doctor guy comes up to O&D, gathering some dental tools, and then heads back down into the black hallway and down the elevator to the testing floor. Mark is consuming a lot of medicine and a weird, nasty-looking drink thing in his fridge. I'm assuming this is meant to help him with reintegration somehow. I don't know how this weird-looking sour jelly stuff is gonna help his brain be okay, but I'll allow it. At Lumen that morning, Helena is in a meeting with Mr. Drummond and Natalie, who have spoken to her father and to the board about the other innies, figuring out that Helena was spying on them the whole time. They do neglect to tell her father that Irving nearly drowned her, but ultimately the conclusion is Helly R, the innie, must return to the severed floor because Mark S will not work without the actual Helly there. Helena's not so excited about that because her innie is a little bit rebellious, if you remember that. Yeah, Helena's not so excited about the innie being awake again.
I'm not going back down there.
It won't be you. It will be your innie.
My innie who tried to kill me?
Regardless, against her wishes, she is sent back down to the severed floor for, the greater good. Helly wakes up in the elevator, confused as hell, and she's greeted by Miss Wong. Miss Wong guides Helly into Mr. Milchick's office, where she is met with Mr. Milchick, Dylan, and Mark.
Is she?
Her innie.
Helly is obviously very confused and starts kind of freaking out a little bit.
I need to know what's going on. Like right now.
Milchick decides to explain this whole situation in a very PR-friendly, very manipulative sort of way.
Helena Egan, in her executive capacity, was conducting valuable research.
That's a funny way to say spying.
It's called a Glasgow block.
Helly feels extremely violated that her identity was stolen.
Wait. Are you saying that she was down here as me?
So Milchick tries to explain this away by telling them the story of the Grakschuppen. Hopefully I said that all right.
Have you ever heard the story of the Grakschuppen?
Grakschuppen? Milchick tells the story of the Grakschuppen, which is apparently a king that goes undercover to see what the people really think and feel when they're talking to someone who they don't think is the king. So Milchick is trying to say that this is what Helena was doing, trying to see how the innies are doing, how their well-being is going. A terrible analogy and comparison, because I don't think the Grakschuppen was stealing someone else's identity.
He would don an old gray robe to disguise his royal vestments.
Putting on a coat and pretending to be someone else is a little different than
stealing my fucking body?
It's not the same thing. So yeah, needless to say, they're all a little shaken up and upset. They also ask about Irving, to which Milchick replies they are never going to see Irving again. They're then escorted to their office where they see their new desk.
Hell no, I'm not going near that thing.
I don't know why they couldn't have just, hired a new person, but they decided to entirely modify the desks as well as erase Irving from the photos on the desk to make it so that Irving B had never even existed. Dylan demands that they get to have a funeral for Irving. Milchick reluctantly agrees to this. He thinks it will help them to boost their morale and keep working. They do the funeral today, this episode, and it's very extravagant for an office funeral. They have got some incredible on-call artists for this company, let me tell you. They make like a whole ass fruit head carved to look like Irving, the little computer image guy that is Irving as well. It's so cool. I'm not sure how someone managed to pull all that off within, 3 hours max, probably. I am impressed, to say the least. While Milchick and Miss Wong are printing out a banner for the funeral, Miss Wong is showing her true colors a little bit. She is a little bit of a sadistic psychopath. Just a little bit. Miss Wong basically tries to backseat boss Mr. Milchick.
May I say a question?
You may.
You shouldn't let them have a funeral. It makes them feel like people.
He shouldn't try and help them feel like people? Somebody's been brainwashed, oh my god.
That wasn't a question. That was an opinion, unsolicited.
After she corrects him on the way that he's doing his job, she then reminds him that he has a performance review coming up. And it seems like that's a pretty big deal.
Your first performance review is today, right?
It just felt very petty.
That was a question.
And Mr. Milchick does not let go of this. Oh my goodness. Now, this is something that completely changes Mr. Milchick's attitude about Miss Huang. Like, moving forward, he treats her completely differently. He's over it. He's already decided that she's gonna fail her Wintertide Fellowship, I'm pretty sure. That is her childhood labor thing that she is doing through Lumen. He's responsible for determining whether or not she will continue in her Wintertide Fellowship.
You cannot graduate from this fellowship until I have deemed you Wintertide material.
We will get back to that in a few episodes. At the memorial, Dylan gives a really funny, great eulogy for Irving.
One time, he was pissed at me for watering down the toner, so he put toner in my water cup. He stopped me before I drank it, though. I accidentally take a sip of it later because I forgot he said that.
Above him, there's a banner that indicates the amount of quarters that have happened in this company. I did the math on this, and this means that the company is 220 years old. Fun fact, I guess. So Mark has been a bit of a dick today. He's just being an asshole to Helly all day. I get it because he doesn't know if this is even Helly in the first place and he feels really betrayed and hurt and all that, but like, he's being a dick. The first time Helly tries to talk to Mark today, like have a real conversation with him, she enters the bathroom the same way that Mark did with her last season when she was scrawling on her arms.
Are you okay? I mean, it's been like 45 minutes.
I'm using the bathroom.
Get ready, do the things you need to do, because I'm coming in.
No.
Here I come.
Mark,
I'm sorry.
no, I'm not decent.
I'm sorry.
It was just kind of cool seeing this same scenario happen, but reversed.
Hello. I'm gonna come in. I'm coming in. Are you okay?
I don't know if it's like symbolic or anything like that, but I noticed it. I see you, writers. I see you. I hear you. I appreciate the work you've done. After the funeral, Mark is acting super dumb again and is just like, well, okay, let's go out to work. Irving's gone. Dylan asks Mark and Helly if they've had a chance to catch up and then spills the beans that Miss Casey is Mark's Audie's wife, which obviously Helly didn't know until this moment. So she's like, oh, what the fuck? Can you tell me everything, please? Mark huffs away all pouty and Helly follows him out. And finally he opens up and they talk about it. He's clearly just really, really hopeless right now.
It doesn't matter.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because they are smarter than us.
He just found out that Helena had been lying to him for a while. For them, in the grand scheme of things, that was like a few hours ago. So it's still fresh to him, this betrayal. But I think even more so, he's frustrated that he's been putting all this effort into trying to figure out how to save Miss Casey. He had confided in Helena and trusted her so quickly with all the information he had because he thought that he wasn't being monitored. So now he's just like, well, okay, Lumen knows everything that we were doing. They're 3 steps ahead of us. This feels hopeless. What am I supposed to do? I really think that that is the main emotion that he's feeling right now. Helena did also have sex with him. So that as well is like, I get it. I get why he's feeling the way he's feeling right now. He is still being a little bitch though, and he needs to cut it out. Okay? Just because you're having big feelings doesn't mean you have permission to take it out on other people. But luckily, Mark and Helly are able to talk it out and get on the same page. Everything's good. After Mark and Helly left the funeral, Dylan was alone, still just sitting grieving the loss of his friend, looking at his fruit head, and then he notices the poster of himself during the overtime contingency is what it's supposed to represent, with the words "hang in there" written on it. And these were the words that Irving said to him, his last words.
Hang in there.
Dylan goes up to the poster. Behind it, he finds a note left behind by Irving. It is instructions from O&D to the Black Hallway. Before Milchick goes in for his performance review, he is talking to Natalie, and he makes the decision to ask Natalie very subtly about the paintings that he received. You know, the paintings he got that were all black kier. Yeah, those paintings.
I was just wondering if you could share with me a little how you felt when you received the paintings and the somewhat complicated feelings they evoke.
If we think about this, all right, Milchik and Natalie are the only two people of color we've seen in the upper management of Lumen. It feels a little corporate virtue signaling for those two to be the only ones who got these paintings of Kier recanonicalized.
These inclusively recanonicalized paintings.
He feels comfortable talking about this with her, probably more than anyone else, because if anyone was going to understand his situation and the feelings that he's having, Natalie would be the one.
Our experiences here have been similar in some ways. We face similar challenges.
So Milchik is like, hey, Natalie, that was kind of weird, right? Like that was a little weird, right? And Natalie's just like, gotta go. But her face is full of micro facial expressions. This is something that this actress excels at. Her name is Sydney Cole Alexander. She's really good at showing that she does have mixed feelings and discomfort about this, but there's no way she's going to talk about it because that's too dangerous, I think, for her. Milchik's performance review, though, is crazy. It is an all-day affair. They have a fancy printed corporate style booklet for him that's like, I don't know, 50 pages minimum probably. That's a thick boy, all right? That's a lot of words to say about your employee. And the stuff that they are critiquing him on and correcting him about in such an intensive way, by the way, it's all so trivial. It's about the way that he's putting the paper clips on and the way that he talks, the words that he's choosing to use in his conversations, him offering kindness reforms to the innies as if this is something bad. He's getting torn apart over things that are just him. His personality, him being the person that he is, which at times can be something that happens in corporate life, but this is way more akin to cults, all right? This is definitely a cult thing. The thing that I would say is the most corporate in this whole thing is when Drummond is like, remember to treat them as what they really are.
To remember these severed workers' greater purpose, to treat them as what they really are.
He's getting in trouble for offering mercy and kindness. I 1000% believe that this is the kind of shit that gets said in like upper level management at major corporations. I have no doubt that they're like, why do you want to give more money to our employees? That's supposed to be my money, even though they do all the work and I sit on my little butt all day. Something else Mr. Drummond says is,
Mark Scout's completion of Cold Harbor will be remembered as one of the greatest moments in the history of this planet.
What was that you just said? Mark's completion of Cold Harbor will be remembered as one of the greatest moments in the history of the planet. Oh, excuse me?
We need Mark-S back to work long enough to complete Cold Harbor.
Mark-S is so close to completing Cold Harbor. I intend to finish the work that I started.
Mark Scout's completion of Cold Harbor will be remembered as one of the greatest moments in the history of this planet.
At some point, we are shown that Cold Harbor is a file that Mark is working on. It's his current file for this quarter. Something about Mark completing his file is going to be remembered as one of the greatest moments in the history of the planet. It's giving world domination. It's giving I'm afraid. I will talk more about that as more details are revealed. While Milchik was completely beat down by this performance review, you can tell it sucked the life out of him a little bit. He's lost a lot of his charisma and joy, and it's kind of back to the more creepy, controlling version of Milchik, similar to season 1. Milchik approaches Mark on his way out of the office as he's about to step in the elevator, berates him for leaving early, confronts him, like, right up in his face, on very uncomfortable levels of in his face.
Did you and Heliar catch up? Did you tell her that you fucked her outie at the Orpo?
Just creepy as hell, dude.
And look forward to some productive work days ahead.
Whatever you say, Mr. Milchik. Praise Kier.
And as Mark is walking out of the building, back in his Audi self, Helena is watching him leave. From further in the building, she's watching him walk out the door, which is so obsessive. That night we get to see Irving. He's in the phone booth talking to whoever he tries to call and talk to in the phone booth all the time. Whatever corporation or organization he is involved with. He tells them he got fired and he thinks they might have figured out what his innie was up to. I forgot to mention this earlier. The previous time that he called them, he'd also said that he knew that his innie got the message. Meaning that he knew that his innie had seen the paintings that he'd been making.
I think they knew what my innie was up to.
He's under the assumption he got fired for snooping around. No man, nah. Your innie was way more of a badass than that.
I'm gonna kill her, Mr. Milchin!
While going out to this phone booth and doing his whatever daily routine is, he's also been being spied on. Does that sentence make someone spying on him, right? And we found out that it was Bert. Well, this time he confronts Bert. Why are you following me, man? And Bert's like, you kind of showed up at my house, and I'm just trying to figure out why.
Why were you at my house the other night?
I don't know.
It wasn't you at all, was it? You're severed.
He knows that Irving was severed, and then explains to Irving that he was let go from Lumen because his innie was involved in a sort of erotic entanglement with another innie.
Then you show up at my door.
A plus B equals AB. Well, Bert ends up inviting Irving over for dinner to meet his husband Fields, and they can all talk about it. So that's interesting. I'm nervous to talk about that because Bert's character, wow, his Audi's interesting. They do a little plot twist with us with Bert. I'll get to it when that happens, but I don't love the 180 that they do with Bert's character. It's not my favorite choice that's been made this season. I would have really liked for there to be no twist, for all of this to be genuine, but it's not. Last thing for this episode, episode 5, the ending is really fun. Ragabi is apparently staying in Mark's basement and helping him slowly reintegrate. He mentions that he hasn't had any more memories since the first one of him waking up on the table. She's like, well, maybe your innie has been having some flashes and memories. We don't know. He walks upstairs and he has a freaking vision, dude. He has another memory, dude.
You're Audi.
What?
I didn't say anything. You're Audi.
And this time he's walking out of the break room hallway and steps into the white hallways of Lumen. And in this vision that he's having, he sees Miss Casey. He sees Gemma. First, he's hearing her voice, and as Miss Casey, she's just saying the random Audi facts that she would do in wellness last season.
Your Audi prefers 2 scoops of ice cream in a serving.
And then he comes out of the vision as just sitting there in his living room, and the look on his face is so beautiful.
Your Audi is going to be...
The tears in his eyes, the visible heartbreak. They killed it. Again, this show is so good. It's so good. Episode 6 is titled Attila. Attila ends up being the pet name that Bert and his husband Fields use with each other. They call each other Attila instead of Hun because they're just so cute like that. But the reason why I think this episode was titled Attila is it's a fun little sneaky way to refer to the fact that this episode is all about love, lolling and fuv, if you will. Kind of a fun episode for the emotional development of our characters. Let's get into that. Dylan ends up telling Mark and Helly that day about the photo that Irving left behind with the instructions to get to the black hallway. So now everyone in the office knows about it. But Dylan ultimately says that he does not want to help with them snooping around the hallways because he does not want to lose his visitation privileges with Gretchen. He doesn't tell them that, of course, but that's why. So now it's kind of up to Mark and Helly to figure it out. Now, during all of this, Mark S. is having visions of the outside world. The reintegration is starting to affect him a little bit more, and he's also having these symptoms of illness, like getting a bloody nose. He's had a bit of a cough too. So just keep in mind that that is happening in the background as this story is playing out. So Mark is starting to reintegrate a little more every day. Mark and Helly sneak into the bathroom to have a conversation about the black hallway and steps moving forward of how they're going to break out Miss Casey, right? And this is when Mark finally tells Helly that he, had sex.
Sex.
With Helena. Yeah, with Helena. And this scene is so good.
In your tent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's another great example of Britt Lower's fantastic Emmy-winning acting ability. So much is said with her facial expressions. There's sort of an initial confusion, hesitation, processing. Later, you start to see her become more happy. Like she's kind of laughing a little bit. And I think this is the moment for her when she realizes Mark wanted to have sex with her. Even though it was Helena, he is interested in her in that way, which up to this point, she's had no idea. He's been acting really strange the last few days, so she's probably thought, oh, he definitely isn't interested in me, right? Ultimately, Helly decides she's over it, and she wants to have her own experience with Mark. She wants to have sex with him. Right now. Like, right now.
Do you want me to describe what happened? I feel like you have every right.
No, I don't want her memory. I want my own.
So Mark and Helly sneak away and they make a little tent in one of the rooms that are closed / under construction / just covered in plastic. They make their own little makeshift tent and do the deed in the tent. It's adorable. It's cute. Mr. Milchick had his performance review yesterday, and because of that, today he is taking some time to process his performance review. He leaves Miss Huang in charge of the office, goes to do his own thing, which ends up being very strange and very intense. Grow. Because Milchick is otherwise occupied, the office ends up being left completely empty. I mean, Irving is gone. Mark and Helly are doing it in another room. And Dylan is having his meeting with Gretchen at the moment. During this visitation with Gretchen, he asks if they can hug again.
Is it okay if we try the hug again? I kind of like the hugging.
They end up hugging and making out a little bit. And this is happening simultaneously with Mark and Helly doing their thing. So lots of love happening in the office today. Ooh, wow. Later that day, we see Gretchen at home with the Audi Dylan. It's clear with her body language and her tone of voice that she's pretty unhappy with her version of Dylan right now, which is definitely contributing to this affair that she's having with him. Gretchen lies about seeing the innie that day, so you know that there's some guilt there. She knows she was doing something wrong. So what is going on with Mr. Milchick today? He goes into his little storage room area that's a little dark and spooky and spends a hefty amount of time practicing putting paper clips on the correct way, which seems like a form of self-punishment that was entirely unnecessary, but I guess he really wants to learn how to do it right. Then he goes up to a mirror to practice simplifying his language. He ends up going from the phrase,
"Eradicate from your essence childish folly,"
which transforms into something along the lines of "do away with childish things."
"You must abandon childish things."
And then becomes,
"You must grow up." Grow.
My interpretation of what's happening here with Mr. Milchick in this spooky mirror sequence where the music is awesome, by the way. He's having an internal battle, trying to tell himself that he needs to grow up, to grow, to stop letting this tiny thing affect him so much, to stop letting it make him feel upset.
"You must eradicate from yourself childish folly."
Because the higher-ups are telling him that his personality, just the way that he is as a person, the way that he speaks to other people is inappropriate, is not acceptable in their eyes, and needs to be corrected and reformed. And it's clearly taking a toll on Mr. Milchick. There's something happening in him that is causing him a lot of distress and pain. And Milchick having this little crisis he's having today is partially contributing to the fact that everyone's off goofing around, making love around the office, all right? Which stays directly in line with the pattern of Mr. Milchick screwing everything up all the time at every turn. If you really think about it, all of the main drivers of the plot from last season and this season are mainly caused by Mr. Milchick. Just looking at this season alone so far, Mr. Milchick is the one who fired the innies, causing Mark to rebel that second day and send the message to the board. I mean, that would have never happened if Milchick just hadn't fired the other employees in the first place.
"And shall I fire them?"
Let care guide your hand.
Same thing with his little Ortbo excursion. That caused a whole myriad of problems, as we know. It's the reason why Helena was almost drowned. It's just interesting to me how much of a plot driver his decisions are. After Mark and Helly are done doing it, they're coming back through the hallways, acting all cutesy with each other, kissing and stuff, and Mark gets a bloody nose as a result of the reintegration process that he is unaware of. He ends up going to the boss's office where Miss Huang treats his bloody nose problems, checks all of his vitals and whatnot. I think it is really, really adorable and funny the way that Miss Wong cares so much about Mark's like health and his safety and stuff.
Would you like me to put petroleum jelly in your nostrils?
No thanks.
And as this is happening, Mark starts waking up in his basement. It then shifts to this situation being a memory.
Where are you?
What?
Fuck, I was just...
Mark starts waking up in his apartment, showing us that he's having a memory of earlier today, but it's not really sticking that well in his mind. It's coming back, but not fully. Now, Ragabi is trying to figure out how they can enhance the process of his reintegration.
We need to speed up the process.
And she gets the idea to flood the chip itself.
We'll flood the chip itself through the hole in your head that you've already got.
Whatever that's supposed to mean and whatever that flooding is supposed to do, it freaks Mark out as much as it freaks me out.
Get the fuck off me. I am not doing this.
Feeling some big emotions right now, so we're gonna let him have a break, okay? Mark ends up going out to a little Chinese restaurant and using chopsticks in the absolute most atrocious way possible. Helena Egan has been absolutely stalking him apparently because she also shows up at this little Chinese restaurant. You know, not normally a billionaire's choice for a dining establishment, but alas, she shows up to talk to Mark.
Mark. Scalped. Thought that was you.
She brings up the overtime contingency as a way to break the ice and have a conversation with Mark. She ends up actually flirting with him, and it's low-key kind of cute, though.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be sorry.
Really?
I'm kidding.
Okay.
They actually have really good chemistry with each other.
You should meet him sometime.
You want to take me home to Dad already?
He'd be the first.
So, no pressure.
The conversation is actually going really well between them until Helena brings up Gemma.
And I know you've already been through so much, losing your wife and all. Hannah.
Not only does she bring up his supposedly dead wife, she also says the wrong name for her, which is just the ultimate insult.
Hannah.
She's intentionally downplaying how important this person was to him, and obviously she knows the real name. She's just being a bitch. I think this snaps Mark out of the little flirty thing that they're doing because it reminds him who this woman is and what she has done. He probably knows that she knows that his wife is alive, and I think that this reminds him of that fact.
Hannah.
Gemma.
Right, Gemma.
He and Helena have this moment where they stare at each other. And as he's staring at her, it seems like he's having the faintest recognition. Like, I know you, but it's not so clear that he actually remembers that his innie is, you know, sexually active with this human being. But whatever this feeling is that he's having, it makes him leave immediately, go right back to Ragabi and agree that they need to do whatever they can to get his memories reinstated. So they flood the chip in his head. Oh yeah, baby. And the first thing he sees is his memory from earlier that day when his innie had sex with Helly. Has an appropriate reaction to this.
What the fuck?
He jerks his head really quickly, and Ragabi makes it clear that he can't move his head around like that while this shit's in his flooding his microchip, okay? He needs to hold still. But then Devin shows up, knocking on the door, asking for Mark, and he's like, I gotta go talk to her. So Mark goes upstairs, not looking well. He's kind of sweaty and clammy, and he's trying to convince Devin to leave, but as we know, Devin is very stubborn and persistent. She's not leaving. She's very pissed off that he's not bringing her in on the plan about what he's trying to do to save Gemma. Honestly, Devin is fucking amazing. What a great friend to have. I love the closeness of their relationship. I love Devin. Well, during this conversation with Devin, Mark ends up completely passing out and knocking his head really hard on the floor. So much for not moving your head like that.
Don't move like that.
Oops. Yeah, Mark just completely passes out, knocks his head on the ground, like amnesia/concussion levels of knocking your head on the ground. Not good. And that's where we leave him this episode. The last part of this episode has to do with Irving on the outside. He goes to dinner with Bert and Fields. And this situation is so uncomfortable. So strange.
We also have corn.
Feed him a pile of loose corn.
Fields and Bert tell Irving that Bert decided to sever because of Jesus.
One Sunday at breakfast, Fields asked, do I think I'm going to heaven?
Yes, one asks at breakfast? The answer is no.
Because Bert is not going to go to heaven, and Fields wants a version of Bert to go to heaven with him.
What am I supposed to do up there for eternity all by myself?
They had him make an innie that would be innocent so that Fields could have him in heaven.
The church's stance is that innies can be judged separately from their outie. Maybe a way for part of Bert to...
Wow. So an innie can go to heaven. Mostly Hardy burns.
While Bert goes to hell, obviously.
I've been what you might call a scoundrel in my younger days.
To put it mildly.
There's also a moment where they get into a little bit of a fight.
We used to call each other Han. And about 10 years ago, that became Attila.
It wasn't 10 years ago, it was 20.
No.
Yes.
Which Irving corrects by saying, well, Severance didn't even exist 20 years ago. That couldn't be true.
Because I remember having drinks with your Lumon partner.
Didn't the first severed office open 12 years ago? Maybe that's enough of that.
Knowing the reveal about Bert's character, I actually think that Fields was telling the truth about them having a conversation with Bert's Lumen partner 20 years ago.
It wasn't 10 years ago, it was 20.
What I'm going to reveal, spoil right now, is that Bert works for Lumen, and he has worked for Lumen for a very long time. We'll get more into exactly what his job is at Lumen, but right now the important thing is he is not being genuine here. Bert works for Lumen, and he is setting Irving up. During this dinner party, when Irving is out of his house, Mr. Drummond ends up breaking into his home and then snooping through his secret chest where he has all the documents of all the severed workers. And I think the reason why Mr. Drummond knew Irving wouldn't be home was because he was at Bert's house. Bert let Lumen know that Irving wasn't home so they could snoop on him. Additionally, I do think it's suspicious when Fields is saying, no, I remember we were with your Lumen partner. It was 20 years ago.
It wasn't 10 years ago, it was 20. We're having drinks with your Lumon partner.
If Bert had been severed at the time, he wouldn't have known who his Lumen partner was. He wouldn't have been able to spend time with a supposed Lumen partner. Later, Bert brings this up again, trying to downplay this to Irving to say, oh, Fields drinks a lot of wine. He's not quite good with dates. Maybe he's losing his mind a little bit. Obviously, it wasn't 20 years ago when this thing happened.
It's fuzzy, like saying I worked at Lumen 20 years ago, which is, of course, before Severance even existed. Of course.
But in reality, this happened long before Bert was severed. This happened while he was doing other work for Lumen, where he did know who his Lumen partner was. So I think that Fields was actually telling the truth. This story was actually from 20 years ago, and Bert is trying to hide that, cover it up.
He's fine. He'll be embarrassed tomorrow. You know, he gets fuzzy.
The whole dinner scene is just really fishy and strange and uncomfortable. Deeply, deeply uncomfortable. But at the end, Irving is pretty starstruck by Bert, big crushes there, and insinuates that he would be comfortable having an affair with Bert.
So we should do it again sometime. You meet Fields or you me? With Fields? Yeah? Yeah. But, you know, it's either way.
That's an interesting conclusion that we've come to here. Love knows no bounds, you know? Made for each other. The last thing that's really suspicious about this dinner is that Bert is super friendly, smiling at Irving, and then as soon as Irving is walking away and his back is turned to Bert, his smile fades and he looks a little suspicious. That is how we end this episode. Bert is actually evil, Lumen bad guy, all right? I personally am not the biggest fan of how they chose to change Bert's character this season, how to make his outie and the husband and everything. I kind of would have liked for them to just be normal. Why don't they just be normal ass people like everybody else? No, there has to be some conspiracy behind it. All right, I'll allow it, but I don't love it. Episode 7. Oh, you guys, episode 7. Getting the chills thinking about episode 7, dude. This episode is incredible. And this one is all about Mark and Gemma. It's called Chikhai Bardo. Sorry if I said that wrong. Chikhai Bardo, which refers to something actually Lumen branded. I'll get into that when it comes up. The episode starts with Gemma having a memory of the day she met Mark. When she comes to, she kind of comes back from her little spaced out memory. She is in what appears to be some kind of medical facility, undergoing medical experimentation. And the woman who is there looking at her vitals and her blood work asks her, "Where did you go?"
Gemma, where did you go?
Like I said, this seems to be some sort of medical study, and Gemma is a prisoner of whatever study is going on. This mysterious medical study involves Gemma entering different doors every day. She's escorted to a room with a strange name on it. When she enters the room, she is severed. Upon exiting the room, she's back to her old outy normal Gemma. For each room that she goes into, she puts on a different outfit. In each room, Gemma is faced with a different experience to test different aspects of herself. The things that she likes and dislikes and is sad about and hates. There is a part in this episode where Mark refers to the fact that Gemma hated writing thank you notes.
I'll write you a thank you note.
Hate writing thank you notes.
One of the rooms she ends up going into is a room that is like Christmas themed, and the whole entire task she's supposed to do in this room is write thank you notes to the point where her wrist hurts and she's completely miserable. We don't get to see what happens behind every door and in every room, but what we do get to see is kind of distressing things happening to her in these rooms while she is severed. Also, a big part of this room experimentation process is creepy doctor guide. In each room Gemma goes into, Dr. Mauer is in there too. So creepy doctor guy is very heavily involved in the experimentation process. We finally see why he took those dental tools from O&D down into the testing floor to give Gemma a traumatizing dentist appointment. Yeah, after Gemma has a long day of going through 6 different torture doors, Gemma is sitting in her room listening to her and Mark's song called I'll Be Seeing You. Now this song is super important. It was the song that played in episode 7 last season when we had the big reveal that Miss Casey was Gemma. During that moment, this song is playing in the background.
But I'll be seeing.
This is Mark and Gemma's song. At the end of this day, Gemma is listening to I'll Be Seeing You in her room. So it's not just for us to hear, she is playing it canon in world. When creepy doctor guy comes in for an evaluation with her to interview her at the end of the day, Gemma does not like this guy.
Kier will take away all his pain, just as Kier has taken away yours.
Can you please just talk like a normal person?
Creepy doctor guy tells her that Mark has moved on and now has a child with someone else.
Your husband remarried last year, and he has a daughter now.
I don't believe you.
Gemma, smart lady, not only is Dr. Mauer lying to her about Mark moving on, he's trying to convince her that she has also moved on, that she is also in love with someone else, and it's happening to her in those rooms.
He's moved on. Maybe you've moved on too. In one of the rooms, what do you think?
He is absolutely implying that she is falling in love with him in those rooms.
I love you. Oop. I said, I love you.
I love you too.
Because this man is absolutely creepily infatuated with Gemma. As Dr. Mauer is trying to confess his undying love for Gemma, she whacks him over the head with a metal chair.
Maybe you felt things behind those doors you never felt with Mark. Maybe I've seen it.
I love you too.
She steals his high-level clearance security card, and she sneaks her way over to successfully enter the elevator back up to the severed floor. There she wakes up as Miss Casey. It's so sweet. Miss Casey looks so hopeful and excited to be alive again, and, pleasantly surprised that she's there until Mr. Milchick comes up to her and tells her to turn her ass around and get back down there.
How long have I been?
If you wouldn't mind turning around and heading back in, it would be greatly appreciated.
Gemma is caught in the elevator and returned to her prison, unfortunately. That's what we see of Gemma this episode. Devin meets Ragabi because Mark just freaking collapsed in his house and Ragabi was downstairs, so she comes up to help Mark. Ragabi tells Devin that Mark is reintegrating and tells her that Gemma is alive.
What he wants is to know whether Gemma's alive or not.
She is alive.
The acting in this show is just stellar, okay? Devin spends the episode arguing with Ragabi about what to do about Mark. She decides that she's now in custody of Mark's brain and that Ragabi cannot do further integration.
If you give one solitary thought to messing with my brother again, I will throw you off a fucking bridge.
Devin.
We don't do that again.
We'll discuss it later.
Nope.
Ragabi also tells Devin that Mark is journeying, so he's gonna be fine, apparently, even though he had just a concussive level of head bonk right there. But no, he's gonna be fine. He needs to sleep for like 12 hours, okay?
Is he okay?
He's stable. He's journeying now.
Now, Devon has had a new idea of how to help Mark communicate with his innie. She remembers the severed birthing cabin from last season where she went and saw Gabby, who was severed at the time.
Holy shit, by the way, about this cabin. So nice. You rich?
Yeah, the severed cabin for having babies. Now, Devon gets it in her mind that taking Mark to this cabin will be extremely helpful.
There's an any cabin. It's a cottage where severed people become their ennies.
Demona birthing retreat. So maybe if we go to the cabin, we could talk to his ennie.
And she decides to try and call Miss Cobel.
She might know how to get in the cabin. I mean, fuck, she might know how to get to Gemma.
As soon as she even talks about the idea of calling Cobel, Ragabi is like, absolutely not. Nope, I'm out. Do not talk to that woman. She is insane, okay? We don't work with this woman.
She's Lumen through and through. She was raised by them. She's a soldier.
Devon, for some reason, decides not to trust Ragabi and ultimately loses Ragabi's trust because she does try to call Harmony Cobel. Ragabi nopes the fuck out. She's done. We don't even see her for the rest of the season. She's like, hey, if you're going to call Harmony, I'm out. You're on your own. And she leaves. So now Cobel is kind of Devon's only option at this point. And dude, I am so fucking curious about Ragabi and who she works with and what the fuck she's up to, but I guess we'll have to wait till next season to get more answers. Mark, this entire episode is just journeying, as Ragabi said. He is journeying through his mind, also having memories and flashbacks of Gemma, as Gemma is doing the same this episode. And ultimately, we end up seeing their entire love story. We see the journey of what happened from the moment they met until the moment Mark was told that Gemma died. And oh boy, is it a beautiful story. Mark and Gemma are both professors at university. They meet during a blood drive, sitting next to each other, and they're so cute. They're so cute, bantering with each other, joking right off the bat, which is a very good sign. They start going on dates, they fall in love quickly, and then we flash forward to seeing them married, living in the same home together, and considering having children. This is shown by Gemma noticing that Mark has purchased a crib for them. Now pause. This crib, okay? This crib has a little, what I would say is an Easter egg, maybe, a clue, hint. It's so subtle. Props to whoever's idea this was, probably the props department, maybe a director, I don't know. If you look closely though, it says Cold Harbor. Cold Harbor. Guys, it'll come back later, I promise. But this branding, labeling, whatever, is a Cold Harbor crib. Back to Mark and Gemma's love story. We see Mark and Gemma happily going through the phases of their marriage. This cute time lapse with clips of the house slowly changing and Mark and Gemma together doing different things together. Beautiful work here. Absolutely beautiful editing, cinematography, again, everything so good. And then we get to see the moment that Gemma tells Devon that she's pregnant. Devon and Rickon and Mark and Gemma are having a little dinner party together. Devon tries to pour Gemma some alcohol. Gemma turns it down and they look at each other and it's kind of this like, she's pregnant. All right, Gemma's pregnant. After this moment, really, really cool transition. We're on Gemma's face from the very moment that she is excitedly telling Devon that she's pregnant. Time passes by, the light dims, and she slowly becomes sadder as we then transition into the very moment when Gemma loses her baby to a miscarriage. Very grim, a little bit morbid. There's a very subtle sound in the background. Something falls into the toilet. She is actively losing the baby. And this is a huge turning point for Mark and Gemma's love story. I mean, Gemma is absolutely devastated at this loss, obviously, as anyone would be. Turns out that this is a continual problem for them. Zoom forward through the years, we see Mark and Gemma going to a fertility clinic, and it seems like they're going to try in vitro. At this doctor's office, we see Dr. Mauer again. So something about this particular facility has to do with Lumen, because it's from them that she hears about Chikhai Bardo, this spiritual practice, or at least that's what Gemma thinks it is. We don't really know what it is, but it seems like it's some kind of martial arts or energetic work. Not really sure, but it's from Lumen. We've seen this before in season 1. This is something that Dylan stole from O&D, this Chikhai Bardo card. This is material that Lumen sends out to people, and Gemma thinks that she got onto this mailing list at the clinic, at the fertility clinic. So whatever these cards are, whatever they're teaching her, is drawing her closer and closer into Lumen. I think that she was intentionally targeted by them, lured in by them because she went to this fertility clinic. And this is what ultimately leads to her getting kidnapped kidnapped and having her death faked by Lumen. Though Mark and Gemma are trying everything they can to have a baby, nothing is working, and it's affecting them very deeply. Their relationship is getting worse. They're just not doing well. Mark decides, we need to stop. We're not doing this anymore.
I have no idea how you're feeling.
Like shit. Beat to shit.
So let's stop.
He proceeds to go upstairs and violently destroy the crib that he assembled for their baby. It seems there was a sort of separation between them in this moment that only grew. Later, we see Mark and Gemma saying goodbye to each other as she's about to leave for a party, and he decides to stay home and keep working. He barely acknowledges her. She's trying to be sweet with him, and he won't even say I love you because he wasn't paying attention.
I love you, I said.
Oh, no, I love you too, and I'm sorry.
We see her wearing a very distinct looking coat and scarf that she puts on as she heads away that night. And that is the night that she died, or supposedly died. Mark is sitting in his office working until he sees police cars outside his window and officers coming to tell him that his wife was in a car accident. Mark wakes up after this, seeing Devon, who asks him, "Where did you go?"
Mark, where'd you go?
Just like episode 4, where it started and ended with Irving waking up and dying, this episode had an interesting parallel as well. Starting the episode coming out of Gemma's memory and ending the episode coming out of Mark's memory.
Gemma, where did you go?
Mark, where'd you go?
His face. This episode is so good. Just so beautifully done. Really wonderful episode. On to episode 8. It's a little stormy today, so sorry if the lighting changes like it is right now. Just ignore that, okay? It's a storm. I have no control over this. Anyway, episode 8 is titled Sweet Vitriol. What the fuck does vitriol mean? Let me just... Cruel and bitter criticism. It also is another name for sulfuric acid. Let me see if it has something to do with ether. It is. Diethyl ether, or simply ether. It is a common solvent and was formerly used as a general anesthetic. Okay, whoa, okay. This is unintentionally exactly what I need to look up for this episode. So we've already talked about ether and the ether factory a few times. This episode is about the town where Lumen's ether factory was. So now I'm gonna look up huffing ether. I'm learning so much right now. This is for educational purposes, by the way. Educational purposes. I'm not encouraging anyone to do this shit. Do not do this shit, because this is what this episode is all about. Yeah, you thought it was about Miss Cobel? No, this episode is about ether. Catch up, okay? So here's what I found in my research. The word vitriol in and of itself means something different, but if you pair the words sweet vitriol together, that is an explicit reference to ether and diethyl ether. I guess it's like a common slang name for the drug, right? Sweet vitriol. So that's, again, the title of the episode, right? It started to become popular as a recreational drug in the late 1830s, where people would get together and throw parties called ether frolics, where they would take ether and experience a night of like feeling elated, I guess. People who take it don't remember what happens to them during their drug high, and they don't feel pain, which is really interesting. It was because of these little ether frolics that people would do that doctors started realizing that ether could be used as a general anesthetic. Basically, for a time, it was a very popular drug, and for a time, it was popular as an anesthetic as well. Okay, that's all. Back to the episode. We follow Miss Cobel to this town that is overrun by ether. One of the first things we see is Miss Cobel is there brushing her teeth, and someone is in a car next to her huffing ether, okay? Basically, everybody in this town is addicted to this drug. And Cobel goes into an old coffee shop where she finds an old friend of hers who is also an ether salesman. He is a salesman. Why did I call it a salesman? He's a drug dealer. Ether salesman. So Cobel finds this guy and he immediately recognizes her. She tells him she needs to meet with him in private at the ether factory. So they meet in front of the factory and he's all pissed off because apparently they were child laborers together. That's how they know each other.
You know how fucked it is to ask me to come here.
We were once chums.
Colleagues. Child fucking labor.
They did child labor in the Lumen Ether Factory. They would huff ether together. When they were like 8, they would do that. So this guy, I don't know his name. Sorry, I should look it up. Dude buddy man dude, buddy boy. I think I like buddy boy for him. Buddy boy. He's pissed off at Cobel because he doesn't want to be at the freaking ether factory that ruined the town and made him addicted to drugs as a child. But Cobel doesn't care. She's all excited about the ether factory. She's still like romanticizing it a little bit.
Kier and Imogen met at the ether mill. You know that?
This factory is almost a sacred place to her. She still has a little bit of that part in her that still reveres Kier. Part of the reason why I just don't understand or trust Cobel at all still at this point. Cobel asks him for a ride in his truck because she needs to go back to her childhood home.
I need you to drive me to Sissy's. If they're watching the house, they'll recognize my car.
How much trouble are you in?
She's going there to retrieve something very important.
I need to get something.
Buddy Boy reluctantly agrees. Harmony hops into the back of Buddy Boy's truck and gets bumped around quite a bit because this guy is driving super fast and crazy. 1, because he doesn't really care, and 2, because he is definitely high. He's definitely high while he's doing this.
You're higher than a bearded vulture.
And takes her to her childhood home where her aunt is currently living. There is a plaque upstairs that says Celestine Sissy Cobel, and they refer to this woman as Sissy. So she is a Cobel, and she lived in the same house as Harmony Cobel's mother. She's old enough to be Cobel's mother. So I'm making the assumption here, the connection, that this is her mother's sister, or her aunt, or an aunt, if you use proper English, unlike May. This lady, Sissy, she is spooky as hell, man. Very culty. Her white nightgown dress that she's wearing the whole time is spooky. The way that she talks is so culty, creepy, dude. Oh my god, it's amazing.
Why do you bring nothing but woe into my life? Plead forgiveness, child. The Egans will grant it. I would never bear falsity to a steward of the Egans.
The vibes are off. The vibes are weird, but I love it. It's amazing.
Everything that you have, you owe back to the Egans.
Cobel goes upstairs because she's looking for her stuff. Her stuff has been moved, and she's all pissed off, like, why'd you move my stuff? Sissy is being of no help.
What have you done with my things? Sold to the poor.
Harmony then decides it is time to grieve her mother, all right? She never got the chance to ever grieve her mother, to say goodbye, anything like that. And she died while Harmony was off at school doing her Wintertide Fellowship.
I didn't even get to say goodbye.
Your studies were more important. Mr. Egan saw Kier in you, and the Wintertide Fellowship.
Mr. Egan saw Kier in you. Seeing Kier in you is going to come up again. Because Mr. Egan saw Kier in Harmony, she became the Wintertide Fellowship lady, which is the same thing Miss Huang is doing right now. That'll come back. That'll come back. That's important. We'll get to that.
I want the key to Mother's room.
That room stays shut.
Give me the key.
This is something I found very interesting and strange. A little peek into the doctrine of this cult.
That room stays shut until all who remember her sit with Kier. You know this.
Basically, the rules here is that nobody can enter this room until every living family member or anyone who would remember this person has died. It has something to do with releasing woe, the curse of woe upon the house. Remember woe? The gaunt bride.
Why do you bring nothing but woe into my life?
It is you who cursed this house with woe.
Woe, one of the 4 tempers. So here she's coming up again when referring to death.
It is you who cursed this house with woe. What were her last words?
Do not test me.
What were they? After you pulled the tube from her gullet.
Which is interesting now, thinking back to Irving's dream. He saw Bert, who is dead, supposedly, next to woe. Just a thought. Maybe she has to do with death. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Where's the key?
All you will find in there is pain.
But Harmony does not care. She finds the hidden key, breaks into this room, and plugs in her mother's oxygen breathing tube into the breathing tube machine, and then lays on the bed where her mother would have laid and starts like putting the breathing tube in her mouth and breathing and crying and moaning very remorsefully. Very, very creepily moaning. So strange and so creepy, but that is how Ms. Cobel decides to grieve, okay? Buddy boy comes upstairs. He's like, hey, I've been waiting for hours. Sup, girl? And he convinces her to huff some ether with him.
I want to get high.
They get high and then they kiss a little bit. Then Harmony's like, oh my god, I know exactly where Sissy hid all my things. I'm gonna go grab the thing that I came here to find. She runs into the cellar, which is detached from the home. It seems like an underground food storage area, you know? So she's rummaging around in there and finds some boxes with her stuff in it, including sort of yearbook thing from her Egan School for Girls, and then a bust of James Egan when he was younger for her Wintertide Fellowship. The Wintertide Fellowship, it keeps coming up. I'm gonna talk about it in the next episode, and I'll explain what I think all of this means as well in the next episode. Cobel opens up the bottom of the statue and pulls out a notebook. Flipping through the notebook, it is images of like math, science-y kind of stuff. She takes the book into Sissy and explains that she was the creator. Harmony Cobel is the one who created the Severance chip.
Everything that you have, you owe back to the Egans as fealty. Fealty? Mine! My designs! Circuit blueprint, Glasgow block, all of it!
Huge reveal, okay? Not only did she come up with the designs when she was the age of Miss Wong, she was like 14 or 15, doing her Wintertide Fellowship is when this happened. James Egan then took her designs, created the Severance chip, and took credited himself.
You're the one who invented a revolutionary medical procedure.
That was not me, that was my father.
He told Harmony when she was a child, she would need to sacrifice it and never seek credit, or she would be banished.
Why have you never spoken of this? I was told, here's knowledge is for all. That if I sought credit, I would be banished.
Crazy. It's that same energy of using God to manipulate a child. Like, this is God's will that I marry a 14-year-old girl. How cult leaders do be. He could manipulate her very easily when she was that age by telling her, this is what God's will is. It wasn't something she made, it was something Kier did through her that now is owed to everybody else. This language sounding familiar to anybody? But yet this prophet guy ends up making a product from it and selling it and becoming super wealthy, telling her she can never claim credit. Okay, so this is like a huge deal. It was stolen from her. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, so good. The lawsuit she could bring against these people, holy fucking shit. That notebook has so much power, and Sissy recognizes it too. She immediately tries to throw it in the fire. Cobel wrangles her notebook back from Sissy. She gets out of there, all right? Turns out Sissy alerted Lumen that Harmony was there, so there is someone coming to the house to get her, I guess, and I genuinely think Harmony is scared for her life still, as indicated by something she says to Sissy. There's a part where Sissy tells her she needs to go back to Lumen and beg for mercy, that they will forgive her and they will give her mercy. And this is how Cobel responds.
Plead forgiveness, child. The Egans will grant it. Show me mercy, just like you did with Mother.
If you hadn't caught on to the subtle messaging here, Sissy allegedly murdered Harmony's mother by removing the breathing tube from her throat, okay? So yeah, I think she's scared for her life. I genuinely do. Though someone is indeed after Harmony, our chivalrous friend Buddy Boy is there to rescue her. He's able to stay behind and keep the Lumen folk at bay so Harmony can escape. Buddy Boy gives her his truck and she drives away in his truck, leaving him carless, stuck at Sissy's house, which is quite the drive. And as Miss Cobel is driving away, she gets a call from Devon. Now, she's been getting calls from Devon the whole episode, and finally, she answers.
Thank fuck, I've been trying to reach you.
I'm aware.
So listen, Mark has been reintegrating?
Tell me everything.
That's to be continued. Now, the last thing I wanted to say, we're coming back to the ether, all right? Sweet vitriol. It's the ether, dude. Sneaky, 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 sneaky little makers of this show. There's a post on Reddit that one of my friends showed me that just blew my fucking mind, all right? I'll put it on the screen so you can like read through it. Basically, this story is someone explaining that they decided to get high on ether and record themselves doing it. And they said that it was like they became a completely different person for about 5 minutes and didn't remember any of it. But that has such an interesting correlation to Severance because it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like a sedative for when you go to work, right? You become a different person for however long you're there and then you don't remember any of it. I think what they were trying to tell us with this episode is that ether was crucial to Severance. So the ether factory was the beginning of it. You know, we're generating money, we're making products, we're making medicines.
Do you design the medicines? They began in the 1800s. Topical salves, right?
Harmony Cobel, who was a child laborer at this lumen factory, huffing ether when she was 8 years old, maybe has that level of genius where she was able to figure out what was happening in her brain, how that process works, and figured out a way to replicate it with science. Now, obviously, this is science fiction, okay? Wouldn't be super plausible in reality, but that's aside from the point, all right? This is just what I think they're trying to say about Harmony, or what I speculate. Episode 9 is titled The After Hours, and oh boy, this is a very good build up for the season finale. Episode 9 starts on Helena in a swimming pool at her dad's military bunker mansion. Can't even imagine living in a house like this. That would be a nightmare. I think. A nightmare, yeah. So Helena's at her dad's house. In the morning, he has a little sit down with her to watch her eat her breakfast, I guess. This goes back to season 1. One of the questions when the innies are first waking up in the conference room with the speaker is, what is Mr. Egan's favorite breakfast?
That one makes no sense.
Right.
And then it's like really well known within the company, Mr. Egan's favorite breakfast.
3 raw eggs and milk each morning.
His favorite breakfast.
And now we're here with Helena eating an egg. It's hard boiled and she's eating it very precisely. She cuts it, arranges it very precisely, cuts it with a fork to eat it very precisely, as she's being just observed by her dad. Oh, so creepy, dude. After she eats her bite of egg, he's like, I wish you'd take them raw.
I wish you'd take them raw.
His favorite breakfast.
I don't know what his thing is with eggs. Raw. I don't get it, but I think that he wants Helena to be just like him. He has put a lot of pressure on her for her entire life. He wants her to have the same favorite breakfast. No, thank you.
What is Mr. Egan's favorite breakfast?
Raw.
So that was Helena's morning. Good for her. Also, before work that morning, Gretchen and Dylan get into a little bit of a fight because Gretchen confesses that she kissed his innie. It appears that Gretchen was going to try and tell him his innie is like really confident, self-assured, badass, that she liked seeing him that way. I think that's what Gretchen was trying to go for here, but she just kind of is like, hey, I kissed your innie.
I kissed your innie.
Beg pardon?
And he just gets mad, all right? Not a good confrontation that morning. He threatens to quit Lumen so that his innie would never exist again, completely missing the point of what Gretchen was trying to do. Gretchen then shows up to talk to Innie Dylan again and tells him that she can't see him anymore. She breaks up with Innie Dylan and he is so upset. This man begs on his knees. He offers her a ring that he made for her, screams her name, Gretchen! He's absolutely smitten with this woman and she looks so heartbroken. I think it's especially hard because this is the father of her children. This is the man she loves. It's like the best version of the man she loves. And I can't imagine how difficult it would be to say no, to reject him. Oh, this makes Dylan so upset and depressed and enraged to the point where he just quits. And it's actually really funny when he goes to fill out the form for quitting. There's a questionnaire that asks for the reason why you're quitting and he just starts checking every single box, which is hilarious. And he leaves. He quits because he can't see Gretchen anymore. He doesn't see a reason to live. And this is happening not very long into the day. Another very important thing that happens this morning is Mr. Milchick has a meeting with Miss Wong, his final Wintertide Fellowship meeting with her, and he essentially tells her she's done.
Today marks the end of your Wintertide Fellowship. You may resume your duties for the day. A shuttle will pick you up at dusk.
Mr. Milchick does not want to put up with her bullshit. She's being moved somewhere else to do her child labor, okay? Miss Wong is pretty devastated about this, and she's even a lot nicer to the innies today.
I'm sorry, Dylan G. I should have facilitated better.
That's enough.
She's learning her lessons, and she's learning the hard way. Miss Wong doesn't even get to finish out the quarter. A bus comes and takes her later that day. But at this meeting with Mr. Milchick, in order to finalize her Wintertide Fellowship thing that she's been doing, she's given a statue of James Egan, the current CEO, at his current age, the same as Miss Cobel's statue that has James Egan at a younger age. Mr. Milchick mentions how they have to choose some sort of sacrifice at the end.
The handbook requires that you mark this betterment with a material sacrifice. I have chosen your ring toss game as a proper totem.
That ring toss game that was shown to us is really important to her. Mr. Milchick chooses this as her sacrifice, and she has to smash it with the statue. Now, going back to last episode, I think that Cobel had to do something very similar. I'm speculating here that the reason why her notes were put inside of that bust of James Egan, that was her sacrifice that she was supposed to make, kind of like Miss Huang did, where Miss Huang had to destroy her ring toss game. Cobel maybe had to put her notes inside of this statue and hide them forever. Now, that's just a hypothesis that I have, just an idea. It would make sense if that connection was there. I think it's really significant that Miss Huang is told here she needs to make a sacrifice. She uses the statue to make that sacrifice. That's very symbolic and probably what Miss Cobel had to do, bury her notes inside of the statue as her sacrifice for the Wintertide Fellowship. Going back to last episode, it's really devastating that Miss Cobel, because she was successful in her Wintertide Fellowship, she continued in a career at Lumen and never went back home until she was this old now. You know, it's been a long time. I can't imagine the kind of damage that would do to your mental state, you know? No wonder she's a little nuts. Irving walks into his home today to find Bert there, sitting creepily in his living room. Bert is sitting there going through all of Irving's secret notes that he has about all the severed employee people, and he has notes in there about Bert.
Goodman may have participated as a Lumen enforcer or goon. Lumen goon.
What we've done today is we've hired goons.
Bert is reading through it, essentially confirming that it's true, that he is a sort of Lumen goon.
We never used words like that. With Lumen, it's very specific language.
They were the best goons a man could ever ask for. And now they're dead.
Bert is a goon, all right? A Lumen goon.
Lumen goon.
Bert tells Irving to come on a drive with him and takes him on a drive where he confesses that his job with Lumen for a long time has been driving people to locations and not asking questions. A lot of those people turn up missing and turn up deceased. That was his job. That's been his job. And it is what he's doing right now with Irving. There is some level of goodness and mercy, maybe romance there with Bert, because he decides not to take Irving to the place he's supposed to, but takes him to a train station, buys him a ticket to the furthest train away, and tells him to go and never come back, not to tell him where he went.
I think the problem here is that I don't have enough goons.
Bert tells Irving he became severed not because of Jesus, but because he liked the idea that there was somewhere out there a version of him that was innocent.
My innocent part fell in love with you.
Irving tries to convince Bert to run away with him because he's probably going to get in trouble for this, but Bert says no. Turns down the option of having an epic romance, on the run kind of love. Probably wise, since you just met this guy. Yeah, probably maybe don't run away with him. So Irving is alive, but he is on a train to somewhere. And that is the last we see of Irving this season. Mark, at this point, has missed a full day of work. He missed yesterday because he was kind of passed out on the couch all day daydreaming about Gemma. And today, he and Devin are doing heist shit. They got a hold of Miss Cobel. They're gonna meet with her in an obscure location to have a chat. We get a clue that Mark has been having more reintegration stuff when Devin asks him, am I me or a copy machine?
Do you know where you are?
I'm fine.
How about me? Am I me or a copy machine?
Tragically, you're you.
So he's still reintegrating. I'm assuming he's experiencing something similar to what Petey did last season.
Petey? You okay?
But they're not showing us that because, well, they already showed us that, so moving on to more important things, I guess. Mark then says,
We told her everything. She told us shit.
So at this point, they have already asked her lots of questions. They've already tried to talk to her, and she just was not answering their questions. She would not talk to them about anything, but they are meeting in person in an obscure location as we speak. So let's see what happens there. We can assume they've already asked everything about Gemma here, and this is more of like a standoff than an interrogation. Their chat with Miss Cobel is fascinating. I love how sarcastic Mark is in this exchange.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Oh my God, so good.
And then how it suddenly just gets super serious when Miss Cobel brings up the file.
You want us to wait until the evening?
We don't even know if he's completed the file yet. I assume no.
What file?
Finally answers one of their questions.
What file?
Cold Harbor.
And the first answer she gives them is Cold Harbor. Oh, chills moment right there. But she's so vague with this answer.
And if you've completed it, she's already dead.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, Harmony, what was that file you were talking about?
Well, it may be hopeless because she may actually already be dead at this point.
We're leaving right now.
Wait, Mark. I'm trying to help you.
She is there, and we are out here.
Mark starts freaking out. This woman is crazy. What are we doing? Why are we even talking to her?
No.
Hold on, stop. Don't
No,
go.
do you have any idea how insane she is?
Yes, I do.
And Devin has to talk him down, calm him down.
Listen to me. Take a breath.
No, I can't. We can't.
Mark, chill. Devin tells him this is our only option right now. And she's right. This really is the best chance they have at getting Gemma out because there is very little time left. The completion of Cold Harbor means that Gemma is going to die. You know, there's a lot of emotional standoffs in this episode, quite a lot. There's one between Dylan and Helly before he quits, where Dylan just wrecks Helly emotionally because he decided to be an asshole today.
Irving was your family, and he left you a message. They convinced you to turn your back on him for some outie woman you don't even know.
If we're so different from our outies, and how come we couldn't tell when you were gone?
Irving could.
Mark couldn't.
Helly also has an incredible standoff with Mr. Milchick where she's like, I'm gonna do whatever I want because I can.
Where's Mark?
Excuse me.
This is the second day in a row he's not here. Is he coming in?
That's enough, Heliar.
Don't you mean Helly E?
This behavior constitutes insubordination.
Yeah, no shit.
Leave it open.
And then goes and does whatever she wants because she can. Mark and Devin are having a standoff with Miss Cobel. And then Milchick has a little standoff with Drummond. All right, Mr. Drummond. Mr. Drummond is basically berating Milchick for Dylan quitting that day and Mark not showing up today or yesterday because today is the promised day, the day that Cold Harbor is supposed to be completed. And Mr. Drummond is not happy. The board is not happy.
A most vital refiner missing in the wind on what was to be Lumen's finest day. This is your fault.
And Milchick, for the first time, stands up to Mr. Drummond. It's epic, all right? Basically tells Mr. Drummond to do his own job instead of trying to micromanage Mr. Milchick.
It's not my fault what Mark Scout does when he is not at work. It's yours.
Hell yeah, brother. Let's go. Mark calls Mr. Milchick and tells him he needs a day off. And again, another little standoff between Mark and Mr. Milchick here. He's trying to say he's sick and can't come in, and Milchick's trying to be like, we'll send a car. We'll take care of you. You come to work. We need you. And Mark's like, okay, I need a day.
I'm not sick. I just needed the day. Okay?
Them talking on the phone together is such a good scene. Good reflection of corporation culture and the importance of valuing your workers and work-life balance. Oh, it's written all over this conversation and it's so good.
May I ask why?
No. I've just got life stuff.
Isn't that what Lumen's all about?
Balance?
I mean, work is just work, right?
Do you know what I mean, Mr. Milchick?
Ultimately, Milchick understands. As long as Mark promises to come into work tomorrow, he says it's all good and he can have the day off. Helly, she went on a little adventure today and ended up finding the note left behind by Irving. Later that night, Helly is sitting there memorizing the instructions for how to reach the black hallway when Jaime Egan walks in.
You tricked me. My Helly.
What the fuck?
creepy ass creep face. Miss Cobel makes a plan with Devin and Mark. They are gonna heist their way into the birthing cabin to talk to Mark's innie. After nightfall, Mark hops into Cobel's new fancy truck and rides in the back of it the same way that Miss Cobel rode in the back of the truck on the way to Sissy's house. They get past the security of the birthing retreat area and get access to the birthing cabin by pretending that Devin was one of James' mistresses and was pregnant and having a baby.
She's one of James.
And then Cobel uses like some secret code word to get them through.
Miss Marshall White, 9th floor. Specialties department. I'm looking for a gold symbol.
Thank goodness she knew all the cult secret codes. How convenient. Mark S. wakes up in the birthing cabin, very confused, understandably. Devin is able to calmly escort him upstairs where he sees Cobel, and they talk about how this is about Gemma.
Do you remember the last thing that you said to me?
She's alive.
Dun dun dun! What a way to end an episode. What a way to do that to me. Cold Harbor. Goddamn. What an episode. Episode 10 starts off with Helly and Jaime Egan. So Grandpa Jaime is creeping on Helly, right? And this is crazy.
I do not love my daughter.
Crazy.
I used to see care in her, but he left her as she grew.
Remember that whole thing? Oh, he saw Kier in you. He saw Kier in you.
Mr. Egan saw Kier in you.
He used to see Kier in Helena, whatever that means, but it faded away from her, and now he sees Kier in her, in Helly.
Until I saw him again in you.
Helly gets all defensive. She grabs a freaking pencil and is like, "Get out of my face, crazy guy!" And his response, dude.
There he is.
There he is. She's very powerful, passionate. She's very influential. I think that it's a mix of that passion and anger and ability to influence that he's looking for in her. What his plans are with Helly moving forward, I no idea. I guess we'll find out. But seems like he likes Helly even though he doesn't love his daughter. And he then says tomorrow is a special day and fucking leaves. So that's fun. Finally, we get more information about what the heck Cold Harbor is.
Cold Harbor. Have you finished it?
No.
And she's still alive. There's a hallway down there. It's long and black and hidden.
We know where it is.
Cobel and Devin tell Mark S. that the plan is for him to get to the elevator after he completes the file, and then his Audi will wake up, grab Gemma, bring her back to the elevator, then he's gonna wake up and go to the exit stairwell with Gemma, and they're going to escape. Okay, that's the game plan here. So Mark S. is aware of this game plan, but he's still really hesitant about it, because A, if they succeed and Lumen ends up being destroyed as a company, he's not sure that he's gonna be able to be alive anymore, and also he won't get to be with the love of his life. Needless to say, he has a lot of concerns.
If we can prove that they fucking kidnapped her, it will end them.
Well, what happens to us? What happens to every innie on the severed floor?
There's somebody else who wants to talk to you, actually.
Devin just has the coolest idea where Mark will take a video camera and talk to himself. So for the first time, Mark and Mark S. get to talk to each other. And this scene is so cool.
Record your response and step outside.
Hey,
Innie Mark first watches a video from Audi Mark, and this video is full of apology and kindness. And then they start talking about potentially saving Gemma and working together to do that.
wow, this is, I never expected to actually speak to you.
Holy shit.
It's going super well until Mark starts talking about reintegrating.
Lumen doesn't have to be your whole life.
It's a process called reintegration.
This life, our life,
belongs to both of us.
Mark S. doesn't really trust that reintegration is a thing and that it will actually work.
But what that mean exactly?
Whoever this new hybrid person is,
Seems like he'd be way more you than me.
Mark gets a little bit insensitive here, a little patronizing.
Ms. Cobel told me you like someone down there? Helena Egan, right? Your innie name's Helene?
honestly, I love that you had that experience.
He uses the wrong name. He calls her Helene. Kind of the same thing that Helena did to Mark.
Hannah,
just showing his true colors, how he maybe doesn't actually really care about his innie's well-being that much.
Like what you and Helene have, but multiplied.
Mark starts talking about Gemma and how reintegrating will give Mark S the opportunity to also fall in love with Gemma.
Thousands of days of like joy and passion. Then you can see why I have to get my wife back.
Mark S doesn't take well to that. He's not like super cool with that.
It's Helly, actually. Helly, she's the person I'll lose if I do what you say.
And at this point in the conversation, it sort of becomes like mortal enemies.
Reintegrate. Assuming that's even real. Assuming every word out of your mouth isn't a lie. I'm just trying to save my wife. I think the second you get your wife back, you forget I ever existed.
It's so interesting how this happens because they're both the same person, but they're in love with different people. And this is the main source of their conflict. Mark S is worried that he's not going to have a life anymore, and he especially won't be able to have that with Helly. He doesn't want to lose what he has with Helly. There's a moment where Mark is so frustrated and is just like, can't you just trust me? Mark S responds, no. Honestly, I think that's because of Helena, because he learned the hard way that you can't trust your Audi. Helly's Audi is an asshole. What's stopping his Audi from being any different?
Can't you just trust me? No.
This escalates and they're both getting more and more upset with each other until Cobel intervenes and asks to speak with Mark S, the innie.
He's a fucking child. He won't listen.
Let me speak to him alone.
And this is finally when we get more answers.
There's only one room I haven't been to yet.
Cold Harbor.
What is Cold Harbor? What is Mark doing with his numbers and his file? How does that relate to Gemma? Well,
the numbers are your wife.
Miss Cobel explains that the numbers that they work on in MDR are part of a coding process that relate to the four tempers. Again, the four tempers is a big deal in the doctrine of Keir.
What do you see every day when you look at them?
We feel things. Sadness.
Woe, frolic, malice, dread.
The tempers correlate to the four bins that they're sorting all these numbers into. Essentially what they're doing is coding and creating Severance programming. Cobel tells Mark that every single file that he has completed is a new innie that he's created for his wife. So now this correlates to what we've already seen with Gemma going through all of these different doors, and each door that she goes through, she's a different innie. Now we know that Gemma has 24 different innies. And for some reason, this 25th file, Cold Harbor, is the most important in all of the history of the company.
In the history of this planet.
And this isn't explicitly explained as to why this is so important, but I have an idea. Maybe this is just my thinking. I think that they are trying to create the perfect innie. Lumen wants innies who will be perfectly docile, responsive, and obedient. People who are perfectly balanced or refined in the eyes of Keir. They want mindless drones with no personality who they can control. In an earlier episode, Mr. Drummond mentions to Helena that her tempers have been looked at by a medical team and they say that she's going to be balanced again soon.
The medical team says your tempers will rebalance quickly.
Good to hear.
This tells me they have some kind of hokey Scientology style technology that like tests the levels of your tempers in your brain.
Negative emotions are caused by things called body thetans. An e-meter. It's the main tool of Scientology, and will be able to determine your thetan levels.
That's what I think that means. Anyway, there's something about tempers and well-being and your personality and control, I believe, is an overarching theme here.
Mr. Hubbard invented a way to get rid of those bad thetans.
And back in episode 7, there is a scene that shows us there is a secret room underneath the MDR office, down on the testing floor. And weirdly, this secret room mirrors the room upstairs. They have 4 workers downstairs who resemble Helly, Mark, Irving and Dylan, and they are collecting the data that comes from the MDR team upstairs. We're also shown very clearly that Mark's data specifically is connected to Gemma in some way. This to me shows us that there are multiple people who are in this testing floor being tested on at a time. Gemma's not the only one. Now, I think that the reason why Cold Harbor specifically is so special is because of Mark and Gemma. Mark started working at Lumen not long after Gemma passed away. And I don't think that Lumen actually intended for Mark to start working there. I think for them it was just a happy coincidence and they decided to take that and run with it, you know? And this is maybe why Cobel is so freaking obsessed with Mark. He has now become this passion project kind of person because he is the one doing the data refinement and severance chip creation for his wife. And maybe because they have this romantic, deep, emotional, intellectual, physical connection, his ability to code her chip is going to be, you know, superior or whatever. Maybe Mark is able to do better work with Gemma than any other refiners are able to do for any other test subjects, like a higher tier of quality for them. Again, I'm just speculating here, but I think that may be the reason why Lumen is so obsessed with Mark and how this is like such a special day for everybody because they've maybe never had a situation like this before. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or if you have any other ideas. Please feel free to share them in the comments. I would love to hear. Anyway, back to the story. Cobel then explains to Mark S. that once he has completed the Cold Harbor file, not only will Gemma be killed, but he will also have served his purpose at Lumen. That they will do away with him and his life is gonna end anyway. So either way, he's done for. There is no conceivable future in which Mark can be with Helly. It's just not gonna happen.
There'll be no honeymoon ending for you and Heliar.
This makes Mark really, really upset. He gives him an ultimatum.
The next thing I see had better be the severed floor or he will never see his wife again.
Kind of like a, hey, let me think about it. Let me sleep on it. Except this man does not get a chance to sleep. No, only at the Ortbo does he get to sleep. He steps out the door and immediately transitions back to the office. He wakes up in the elevator and the doors open to a new painting on the wall. And this painting is so creepy. It has everyone we have ever seen in this show on it. Like people Lumen shouldn't know about, should not be on this painting, but they are. So creepy. The painting is titled The Exalted Victory of Cold Harbor. It's too much. You're doing too much, Mr. Milchick. You need to calm the fuck down. Milchick has decided to make this a very grand and dramatic day for Mark. Really went all out. After Mark has a few minutes to look at the painting, Helly arrives at work. And let me tell you, both of them are hella confused about what's going on. All the lights are turned off. It's very grim and dim, doom and gloom. And as they walk, like a light lights up over them. It's a very dramatic setting. And then they get to their office and there's a freaking statue. There's a wax sculpture of Keir Egan just standing there, and it's so creepy. It creeped me out so much. I actually have footage of me screaming at this Keir statue, so you're welcome for that. I don't like it. The statue's holding a note for Mark, and it's just like the founder wanted to congratulate you on completion of your 25th file, and then it has a picture of a waffle in it, no doubt referring to the waffle party. Maybe this is Mark's version of a waffle party, I suppose? Waffle parties are not good, all right? We do not like waffle parties at Lumen. No wonder it's so freaking creepy. Mark and Helly sit down. Mark starts working, and they are talking about what's going on. Helly tells him that James Egan came in and talked to her.
He said some cryptic shit, that today is a special day.
I know why.
Mark tells her about everything that's going on with rescuing Gemma today, and he's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I mean, I could just not do it. I could just not finish the file, not get her out.
But Helly does the right thing. She's so noble. She encourages him to rescue Gemma and to get out of there and to be free, to have a chance at reintegrating.
And maybe you could do this combining thing.
Well, yeah, but he could be a total liar.
What if he's not?
And Mark looks over to her with tears in his eyes. He's so sweet. Oh.
At least you'll have a chance at living.
but I want to live with you.
But I want to live with you. And Helly's response to him is so gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching.
I'm her, Mark. I'm her.
Okay.
Them realizing the reality of their situation is so heartbreaking. As Mark is working, Helly starts trying to think of other places that she can remember besides Delaware. And one of the places she can think of is the equator.
And the equator.
The equator? Is that a building?
Or a continent.
Maybe it's just a building that's, like, so big.
They gave a continent.
You know, cute little inside joke, cute little moment they share. Helly just had all this information thrown on her about how they're gonna be done after this. This is kind of the last thing for them. But she's being so real and level-headed and mature about all of this. The only negative thing that she has to say is,
just wish we had more time.
We love a good female protagonist. Oh, she's so good. She's so cool. I love that bitch. Helly helps Mark press the button as they both complete his file together. And then it's just things get wild after this. As soon as it's finished, we see Mr. Drummond say,
"Call Mr. Egan."
And then all the lights go out, like even more than they were out before. A little stage performance starts for Mark with the creepy Keir statue in the room.
Mark S.
Which is horrifying and made me scream even more. You're welcome.
No, this is sick.
A little bit before this, Dylan arrived back in the office even after he quit. Milchick takes him aside to the break room and shows him that his Audi gave a written response to his resignation request and leaves him there to read it. And it's super sweet. His Audi's basically like, yeah, you're pretty cool and I wish I could be like you. And even though I really don't want you to talk to my wife because fuck you and your feelings, I think you should stay alive because I think you're a badass, homie bro.
I've never been an impressive person. I hope someday she sees in me what she sees in you.
Still kind of sucks because it seems like Dylan still can't see Gretchen anymore, so what the fuck? Don't make him do this. Don't put him through this for your own selfish reasons, asshole.
If I'm being really honest, I guess I like knowing you're there.
It is really tender though. It is really sweet.
I get it. She's perfect.
But immediately after giving Dylan this response from his Audi, Mr. Milchick runs away because he has something else to attend to. And then we see him running up to make his cue at the performance for the little show that he's putting on for Mark. Very suddenly, I was like, oh, he's a theater kid. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Mr. Milchick is absolutely unhinged, and he deserves an Emmy for that. Oh, wait. He won one. Okay, we have got to talk about this talking robot thing. So Mr. Milchick starts doing the show and he's like doing a comedy sketch, doing a comedy sketch with this robot guy. And the robot guy, I don't get it. I hate it, actually. He's this little squeaky animatronic thing and he is sentient? Like he has a consciousness?
So illustrious, so sapient, so magnanimous.
My, you're verbose. Good thing you didn't write the first appendix. It would have burst.
This has to be some kind of super advanced AI because it makes the crowd responses too and understands how to be offended and how to roast someone based on their appearance. It was just very outlandish to me and confusing, but we're gonna go with very advanced AI. I think that unfortunately is gonna have to be a lot of the explanations for a lot of the questions I have here. Then a marching band comes in and y'all know how I feel about the marching band. I did a whole video about how much I detest the fucking marching band and the logistics of it. I don't want to get into it right now. It'll make me too mad. To be fair, they're very good. They're very good. I don't like the marching band though. Helly says goodbye to Mark by saying, see you at the equator, which is adorable because that's the spot they were talking about earlier. Remember that cute moment they had? Yeah.
See you at the equator.
See you at the equator.
She slips Mark the instructions to get to the black hallway, steals Mr. Milchick's walkie, runs to the bathroom and throws the walkie in the toilet. Dylan helps her out by coming over with his freaking vending machine. I guess he decided to stay. He comes over with the freaking vending machine, like locks Mr. Milchick in the bathroom with the vending machine. Helly gives like a powerful speech and convinces all the choreography and merriment band people who are also innies to join their cause of doing a coup against Mr. Milchick on the severed floor. Meanwhile, Mr. Drummond is prepping for whatever cult ritual they're gonna do after they kill Gemma when Cold Harbor's over. Part of this ritual is goat sacrifice. Who would have seen that coming? Yeah. The goats are for religious sacrificial rituals. It's not that deep. We see the goat lady walking through the hallways in some kind of ceremonial garb, and they go into this secret room. As we are seeing the goat lady walk through the hallways, we hear the theme song from episode 4. The one that was all about Kier and his creepy masturbation scriptures that he made. This is that same song, and it's playing at a time where we are talking about the religious aspects of the cult. Also, this room is super culty. There's an altar where they put the goat inside of it, and they use a firearm with a single shot in it to deal with the goat, okay? Does that make sense? On this altar thing, there's an inscription, almost like an Egyptian kind of inscription. Drummond explains that the goat is meant to help Gemma ascend to Kier, so it's going to accompany her on her journey to Kier.
This beast will be entombed with a cherished woman whose spirit it must guide to Kier's door.
How lovely. Some clues we get during this sacrificial ritual. One thing that Drummond says is this is meant to help in Kier's eternal war against pain.
We commit this animal to Kier in his eternal war against pain.
And I think maybe the overall motivation for Severance in the first place is to help balance people's tempers and mitigate against pain in people's lives. Fancy Goat Lady also asks, how many more must I give? Which is showing us this has happened before many times. So again, Gemma is not the only one.
How many more must I give?
As many as the founder calls.
And as we are preparing to put Bullet into Goat, Mark is across the hall trying to get into the black hallway down to the testing floor. It got dark when I said that. Thank you for helping with the mood, Storm. I appreciate that. Mr. Drummond steps out and starts fighting Mark, like beating him up or really hard. Goat Lady gets in on the action. They're all fighting Mr. Drummond and end up getting the gun in the mix. Mark ends up walking him into the elevator at gunpoint, okay? And he's like, okay, when we get down there, my Audi's gonna wake up and you need to take my Audi too. And then they go in the elevator and oopsie. Yeah, the gun goes off and Drummond not doing so hot. Not doing so hot. Lots of blood, lots of choking noises, and falling over onto the floor happens to Mr. Drummond. He's gone. Mark wakes up in the elevator, obviously very confused, but starts making his way down the hallway and finds the door labeled Cold Harbor, where Gemma currently is. Gemma was given an outfit today for her Cold Harbor grand finale experience. Remember how they give her different weird outfits and wigs and things to wear every day? The crazy thing they do here, they give her the outfit that she was wearing the night they kidnapped her, the night she supposedly died. Imagine that. Oh, yeah, now she's just wearing her own normal clothes that she hasn't worn since the day she got taken. And Cold Harbor, the thing that this has all been leading to, the final moments of this big experiment that they're doing on Gemma, it's the crib.
Enter the room. Who are you?
It has to do with her grief, her woe, her pain over her infertility. It's the same crib they had set up in their home, the Cold Harbor crib. And the entire experiment is just her disassembling the crib. That's what they want her to do.
Take it apart.
And not only disassemble the crib, they play her and Mark's song in the background. Because they know that's her favorite song and that's her and Mark's song. So what they're trying to do is see if she will have any kind of emotional response to this, something that is her biggest grief in life. They're trying to see if the severance chip has worked and erased her pain entirely. But unfortunately, for those at Lumen hoping that this will be the greatest day in all of human history, Mark is able to successfully break into this room. Each room is locked by a blood test, like intense shit here. And the lady that's escorting Gemma around has to unlock the door by putting her hand down and having it pick a little bit of blood out of her finger. A really cool detail that they added in here is that her finger, if you look really closely at it, it's covered in little pinpricks, showing that she's been doing this a lot and for a long time. They did not have to do that, but they did, you know, and I see it and I appreciate it a lot. Mark is able to break into the room using the blood from Mr. Drummond that is all over his clothing and soaked into his tie. He's able to see Gemma there in her severed state.
It's okay. I'm your husband.
Your name is Gemma Scout. We've been married for 4 years.
No.
Don't speak to that man. This is not a part of the test. Don't let him touch you.
We have to go.
Even though he looks like a psychopath covered in blood, she goes with him. She trusts him. Love defies all, okay? The power of love, people. Mark is able to successfully rescue Gemma and they just start kissing and hugging and she's so excited. Oh my god, finally she's been rescued from this horrible, horrible place. They run to the elevator. People are running after them. It doesn't matter because Mr. Drummond, he's like their only security at this place.
Call Drummond!
And unfortunately, he has passed. So Mark and Gemma are very easily able to get onto the elevator and they just start making out. And I really hope Mr. Drummond didn't have some sort of blood disease that they can catch by making out with his blood on Mark's face. They go up the elevator, they turn into Miss Casey and Mark S. And this moment's so cute. Like they go from making out to just being like, oh, hi.
Mark S. Miss Casey, what's taking place?
Mark takes Miss Casey. Tensions are high. There is an alarm going off. They run through the hallways to the exit hallway. She steps through the door and becomes a now free Gemma. Just incredible that they pulled this off. And big help to, again, Mr. Milchick for making the new policy that door, that stairwell door, is always going to be unlocked from the inside. Oopsie! Gemma is now free. Thank God. Wow. But Mark S. isn't quite ready. He doesn't want to leave Helly. Right on time, Helly shows up behind him. He actually leaves Gemma screaming and pounding on the door, begging for him to go through the door with her. Mark S. doesn't know her. He's never seen this woman before. He just wants to be with Helly. He goes to Helly and walks away with her. They frolic through the hallways to go do whatever it is they're gonna do with their newly acquired power over Mr. Milchick on the severed floor. Pretty intense. Pretty fucking intense. I am so glad that Mark and Gemma got to have a moment where they were together. Just a beautiful moment where they reunite for the first time and they get to have that. But then Gemma sees her man running away with someone else. We've got the same man in love with two different women. And one of the women he's in love with is also a very powerful billionaire CEO boss bitch who is weirdly obsessed with Mark, his innie and his Audi. So who knows what's gonna happen with that, you know? So a couple things going on here now. Helly has apparently taken power of the severed floor. How they're gonna resolve that, I don't know, but also Gemma is now not only escaped from Lumen, but she is a high priority person for them. The whole reason why they were going to end her life for this whole thing was because they needed to remove the severance chip from her brain to study it, replicate it, whatever it is they were going to do. They still want that chip from her head, but it's going to be more complicated now because she's on the outside and Devin is gonna help her, and Devin is ruthless. Devin is a monster. Now, my thoughts on the ending. It sucks. It sucks, but it's awesome. Okay, it sucks because I'm so sad for Gemma and Mark. All the way, Team Gemma and Mark, but also like a little bit, I'm Team Mark S and Helly, like a little bit. As heartbreaking as this ending is, as much as it sucks, I can't be mad about it because it is so true to Mark's character. Mark is a man who will do anything for the woman he loves. I mean, we saw him with Gemma, so willing to do anything he can to get Gemma back. Mark S. is the same man and has the same reckless conviction toward the woman that he loves. Any Mark is in love with Helly, and he will do anything it takes, even at the cost of his own health, to be with her. It makes sense. It's true to his character, and I love that they did this. I think it was a very fun choice, and I'm excited to see where it goes. That's season 2 of Severance. I feel like there's so much more to say. I guess you should go watch it and then say whatever else I was gonna say in the comments for me. That would be very helpful. Thank you very much. Really quickly, I just thought I'd let you know there's this weird phenomenon that happens when people subscribe to my YouTube channel. They become sexy and hot, which are 2 different things. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it happens. Also, follow me on Instagram if you want to do that.
Do it!
Thanks again for watching. Bye!